Chapter 1309. Looking at the Bull Demon King's cold and indifferent eyes, Fan Wu Jie reincarnated again. This time, he turned into a Kuan Pung, and in the quiet and dark void of the nine-glory sky shrouding formation, he spread his wings and flew high, using the great divine power of time that merged with the true form of the Kuan Pung. The Kuan was born of water, the true water of time was also water, and the river of time was also a river. The Kuan turned into a Pung and leaped from the river of time, hitting the surface of the water and transcending the river of time. This was the great divine power of Shi Kuan Pung transformation, but Fan Wu Jie did not transcend the river of time. His Tai mystic fruit of Tao was just a glimpse of the Kuan fish temporarily leaping out of the river of time. So the Shi Kuan he transformed into could not transform into a Pung, and the two fins turned into wings, like a half Kuan and half Pung. The body of the Pung was not complete. But this temporarily leaping out of the river of time was enough to make Fan Wu Jie's existence disappear temporarily. He stood above the river of time, as if he had temporarily returned to the sea of chaos in the depths of the ultimate. This was the great divine power of the Pling Pung bloodline that he had comprehended, and the mysterious fusion of the sea of chaos above the river of time. He is actually not in this time and space? The Bull Demon King stood in the dark void. Tunghua Palace had already been smashed by the battle between the two. Fan Wu Jie reincarnated hundreds of times, and barely managed to use the great divine power of Shi Kuan Pung transformation to escape to above time. The prohibition that the great god Zhu Long had laid down worked. At this moment, the chaos became an incomprehensible chaos to Fan Wu Jie, but Fan Wu Jie also became a person who did not exist in the chaos. But the Bull Demon King still raised his hand, and with a simple punch, he imprinted on the heart of Fan Wu Jie, who was not in this world, not in the past, not in the future. In the Chaos Sea, a streak of Chaos Chi imprinted the old ox's simple, straightforward, indestructible power. Even if it became an incomprehensible chaos, it was a power that could not be covered. Chaos could corrode everything, turning the foundation of the existence of Taiji into an incomprehensible chaos. Existence and chaos were originally two opposing states. Zhu Long turned the river of time into the sea of chaos, to prevent the great mediums of chaos from tampering with time, and Dara from attacking from the past and the future. Even the old bull could not change the power of his punch into the chaos. If the Bull Demon King's power could split the chaos, he would have become Dara long ago. But this did not stop the Bull Demon King from using this incomprehensible power to crush Fan Wu Jie's Shi Kuan body. Fan Wu Jie's stunned face was just a mass of chaos in the eyes of the Bull Demon King. Fan Wu Jie did not think that he could fight against the Bull Demon King with the body of a Kuan. This was because the Kuan had yet to transform into a Pung. Even if his fins had turned into wings, he would not be able to glide on the river of time for long. No matter what time it was, as long as Fan Wu Jie fell into the river of time, he would be able to appear at any point in time, past or future. The power of the Bull Demon King could immediately choose Fan Wu Jie and crush his true body once again. Because the Bull Demon King's unwavering fist will was already a power that time could not erase. Therefore, Fan Wu Jie only wanted to get a chance to breathe and find an opportunity to break out of the situation. But he did not expect that the Bull Demon King was a strong enemy that he could not defeat even with the help of time and the Torch Dragon restriction. The Bull Demon King punched out from the river of time, using the simplest essence of power to penetrate beyond the chaos. It could be said that there was a trace of the embryonic form of dissolving the chaos. In the chaos, any attribute was chaotic. Fire turned into chaos and did not heat, water turned into chaos and did not flow. Any existence attribute would temporarily lose its attribute when turned into chaos, and all laws would become ineffective. But when the Bull Demon King's power turned into chaos, it still retained a trace of the attribute of power, which crushed Fan Wu Jie. Just this point alone, the Bull Demon King was worthy of being the expert that Fan Wujie had seen who was the closest to Dara. This was of course because power was the simplest and purest great Tao in the chaos, and power was also the simplest and most straightforward attribute. Compared to other great Taos, it was much easier to translate through the chaos. It was also because the Bull Demon King had developed the purity of power to the extreme. Shi Kuan's reincarnation was crushed, and Fan Wujie was reincarnated, falling into the river of time and reappearing at that moment. Fan Wujie had experienced hundreds of reincarnations, and many things had been erased. He was so desperate and tired that he did not even know how many imprints that belonged to Fan Wujie had not been erased by reincarnation. Moreover, the Bull Demon King's fist will already had a trace of embryonic form that reincarnation could not erase. On the imprint of his true spirit, the power of the Bull Demon King was wearing down his true spirit bit by bit. Even through reincarnation, he could not escape. If Fan Wujie had not comprehended a trace of the 9 questions of the netherworld, who was his true self in reincarnation, if the true spirit transformation could escape most of the fist power, he would have long been worn down into a blank soul. At most, he would have become a new existence with some memories of Fan Wujie. But the core principle of the great divine ability of reincarnation was to reorganize the true spirit and change the true spirit. Using a part of the principle of the true spirit in the law of reincarnation set by Lady Hoodoo, using a forbidden technique like the 9 deaths reincarnation deceiving heaven great art, he could brand the true self to a depth that surpassed the true spirit. His definition of self surpassed the limits of the reincarnation true spirit law, reaching a level that even reincarnation could not erase, surpassing the bearing of the true spirit. A name, a concept, an illusory belief could carry the true self, to the extent that it could be reborn. Fan Wujie had not reached such a depth. He could only borrow the surface of this question to change and reorganize the true spirit. Using the river of time to disguise reincarnation, using the principle of this question of the 9 questions of the netherworld to change the true spirit, deceiving reincarnation into thinking that he had reincarnated, using reincarnation to refresh himself, so even if he died, he could use the law of reincarnation to refresh himself. This great divine ability was built on the basis that the innate time-light Tao seed could simulate reincarnation, and the river of time reincarnation contained the entire concept of reincarnation. Using the 9 questions of the netherworld to exploit the loophole of the law of reincarnation set by Lady Hoodoo, using the elixir of immortality to break the limit of one's lifespan, unlocking the harshest law of death of reincarnation. The Bull Demon King's unwavering power could not be erased by reincarnation, it could directly affect the true spirit, completely shattering a person's soul. But his understanding of the law of reincarnation was not as deep as the river Styx, who created the 9 questions of the netherworld. The bug discovered by the river Styx, even Hoodoo could not do anything about it, she could only try her best to fix it, leaving behind the taboo of the 9 questions of the netherworld, let alone a mere Bull Demon King. So he could not lock onto the true spirit transformation that Fan Wujie had borrowed the skin of the 9 questions of the netherworld. He had removed most of the power, allowing Fan Wujie to reincarnate again and again, refreshing his state of death. But Fan Wujie's own divine ability was not good enough. He could not get rid of the last bit of unwavering power. Moreover, the reincarnation after reincarnation would eventually wear down Fan Wujie's self. After hundreds of reincarnations, Fan Wujie's true spirit did not have any problems, but his definition of the true self, his self-recognition had already started to blur. The essence that belonged to Fan Wujie was being worn down bit by bit. But this kind of polishing of the true self had the same effect as the 9 deaths reincarnation, heaven deceiving, 3 lives reincarnation great divine ability. The essence of these great divine abilities were all using the torture and polishing of the true self, deepening the definition of the self in the most intense, the most frightening changes, not the slightest bit would change. The reincarnation and reincarnation would wear down the essence of the true self again and again, but was it not a deepening of the self? So the great divine ability of reincarnation and reincarnation that was derived from this question, on the other hand, when the reincarnation continuously wore down the true self, it was also a deepening and cultivation of this question, but Fan Wujie did not have this awareness. He only felt deep despair and sorrow. It was as if he had turned his own essence into a steel ball, accepting the old bull's unwavering polishing and hammering. It was a kind of destruction and destruction, but also a kind of molding and tempering. Fan Wujie could only do everything he could to deepen the essence of his existence. He wanted to do everything that made up the existence of Fan Wujie, to hand over everything to the next reincarnation, but even so, he could not avoid losing something. The reincarnation and reincarnation was ultimately not comparable to the 9 deaths reincarnation heaven deceiving. The latter had the perfect technique developed by Patriarch River Styx, which deepened the complete bearing of the self. While the former was perfect in theory, it lacked the most crucial method and technique. One was the Tao, one was the law, the 9 questions of the netherworld was the Tao, and the reincarnation heaven deceiving was the law. How to break down the elements that made up the self, recombine them, and entrust them. And this core was the everlasting information. Because the information was everlasting, the self and the true self would not be destroyed. As long as one could deepen the true self, sublimate the definition of the self, a concept, a name, any bit of information related to the self, it could reconstruct the complete information of the self. But Fan Wujie just so happened to lack the relevant method of the everlasting information. He could not retrieve his own information, and then the destroyed, stripped self would really disappear forever. If this goes on, Fan Wujie will be destroyed sooner or later. After being punched by the Bull Demon King, the Fan Wujie, who was quickly reincarnated thousands of times, it was unknown how much of his essence was himself now. He had yet to change himself, because the Bull Demon King killed him too quickly, leaving him no time to interrogate himself and think about who he really was. All his thoughts were used to think about how to survive. He had no time to think about the grand question of, who am I? All the core of his thoughts were condensed into a common concept and idea, survival. He had long forgotten about the rest, what young Master Mu, what Shui Tu, what lifeless Yang, what destruction of the heavenly court, Emperor Ziyang, the great secret of the ruins of End, what Bull Demon King, all of it had been forgotten. It was obliterated. What was left of Fan Wujie was perhaps a name, and the great supernatural power of reincarnation that he used to survive. At this time, the simplest Fan Wujie had actually touched upon something that reincarnation could not destroy. He saw a ray of divine light, in the deep darkness of endless death, in the darkness of reincarnation. That ray of light was weak but firm. In the next moment, Fan Wujie was reincarnated, and that little bit of divine light leaped out and reflected into the eyes of the Bull Demon King. Innate, inextinguishable divine light. The Bull Demon King was slightly stunned, and a thought flashed across his mind: innate spiritual treasure. The divine light turned into a Taoist with a blurry face, but definitely not old. With a light palm, the Bull Demon King could only summon a whip, and also manifested the inextinguishable divine light to block the blow, but the Bull Demon King's body still shook violently, and his brute force was almost scattered. If not for the whip-shaped innate spiritual treasure blocking it, he would probably have been seriously injured. The divine light was just a blow, and it did not linger. In a flash, it turned into a stream of light and flew out of the 9 lights heaven-covering formation. Only the Bull Demon King was left standing, and he said solemnly, "He actually has an innate spiritual treasure? And he doesn't seem to know it? We, the 7 great sages, are the backbone of the demon race appointed by His Majesty. We are to carry the hope of the demon race for His Majesty before the return of the divine court. That's why each of us was given our innate spiritual treasure. Where did this person come from? The nature of that innate spiritual treasure is very high. Just a little bit of it was instinctively able to escape the heavenly cycle star's formation. It's definitely not ordinary. Prince Mu's bloodline was extraordinary, and his cultivation method was also the top dharma of the heavenly court. He was the son of celestial Lord Donghua, and his talent was also among the top in the primordial world. His strength was not inferior to that of his generation, but he was still too young. Even though he was already at the Tao Lord realm, even though he was extraordinary at his age. But the Dragon Demon King had been discriminated against by the dragon race, and he had killed his way out of the most dangerous environment. He was the most outstanding figure of the demon race after the destruction of the Divine Court. He was the current leader of the demon race, and he was ranked second among the 7 great sages. Therefore, the Dragon Demon King's one move was enough to make Prince Mu unable to react, and he stabbed with the trident. The Dragon Demon King did not have the arrogance of the Ox Demon King, nor did he have the arrogance of the Rock Demon King. Therefore, when facing Prince Mu, who was much weaker than him, he did not hesitate to use the connate spiritual treasure, the sea-overturning trident. The trident pierced into his heart. At this time, the white snake that was lying on the side suddenly leaped up and transformed into a purple rainbow. It grabbed Prince Mu by the waist and turned into a rainbow that fell into the 9 lights heaven-shrouding array. The Dragon Demon King's sea-overturning trident struck out like lightning for the second time, but it only shattered the tail of the rainbow. But it also caused the purple rainbow to pause, and half of its spiritual light dissipated. The spiritual light that could have jumped out of the 9 lights heaven-shrouding array immediately weakened. It was wrapped in the deep darkness and was on the verge of collapse. It was bound by the restrictive power of the array formation, and it was about to fall into the array formation again. At this time, a Xian bead shone brightly and a world appeared. The world turned into boundless essence Qi, and it smashed the layers of restrictions below the purple rainbow. The purple rainbow shone brightly again, crossed the darkness, and escaped into the stars. Yuan Yu leaped up again with the bead, and with another strike, he smashed the Rock Demon King with the Jade Talisman seal. The 5-colored light pierced the Jade Talisman, and the mixed colors around it cracked again, turning into wind and thunder. Yuan Yu held the sea-calming divine pearl in his hand, and kept the dimmed Xue Tu King, who was covered in blood, and Ajati, whose sword Qi was weak, into the sea-calming divine pearl. With another strike, he broke the 9 lights heaven-shrouding array and left. The Lion Camel King carried an iron mountain, and the Yu Yang King clasped a colorful crystal. They flew out of the array formation in a sorry state, and could only look at Yuan Yu's escaping light with exasperation. The Dragon Demon King looked at the pool of blood on the ground, and his face was gloomy. The 3 great sages gathered again, but when a connate inextinguishable spiritual light flew out from where the Bull Demon King was and broke the 9 lights heaven-shrouding array, the great sages' faces were already very ugly. Although the 9 lights heaven-shrouding array was only a branch array, it was also a part of the heavenly cycle stars array that the Divine Court used to suppress the primordial world. Today it was like a piece of paper broken just like that. It was a great humiliation. It was a disgrace to the Divine Court's number 1 array that suppressed the primordial world. However, the few people who broke it were either connate numinous treasures, connate spiritual light, or Dara talismans of unknown origin. Where did so many connate numinous treasures and Dara come from? And the Taoist with the sea-calming divine pearl. His cultivation level was almost as high as the Bull Demon King's. With the sea-calming divine pearl, which was a ferocious connate numinous treasure, if not for the Rock Demon King, the Lion Camel King, and the Yu Yang King joining forces, he would not have been able to escape. As for the other 2 fiendish Tao cultivators, although their cultivation levels were extraordinary, they did not have powerful numinous treasures to protect themselves. They were heavily injured by the power of the numinous treasures. They were almost defeated in this small ditch. At that time, 6 of the 7 great sages would come out to attack a small, powerless crown prince. They would be defeated on the verge of success, and leave in a sorry state. They would no longer be able to survive in the primordial world. Revive the divine court, my ass. They should just kneel and beg for mercy from the heavenly court. The bull demon king glanced at the bloodstains on the ground. The flood dragon king said, I pierced this person's vital point with the sea-overturning trident, and his primordial spirit was almost obliterated. If not for his natural yang qi supporting him, his soul would have been destroyed. Crown Prince Mu probably won't survive. We won't know until we see his corpse, the bull demon king said in a low voice. But this is enough. Send a message to Crown Prince Bo Jun. It's time to act. The great sage of exorcism left behind traces of that little white snake. The scaled dragon king said grimly. That girl has a spirit talisman left behind by a grand luo. It took her and that Prince Mu, whose fate is unknown, away. Someone has schemed to this extent. It's most likely the people from the mystic door, the bull demon king said after thinking for a moment. The people from the mystic door like to make their moves when they least expect it, and they are very calculative. But this is a matter between us and the heavenly court, so they won't get involved. The person behind Ziyang is also from the mystic door. Let them fight amongst themselves. The crystal in King Yu Yang's hand glowed brilliantly, distorting the light and shadow of time in the formation, leaving the demons to cover Tunghua Palace with the 9 lights heaven-shrouding formation to rescue a white snake demon girl. The white snake demon girl was coerced by Crown Prince Mu and escaped with the help of the other demons. Before she left, she pierced Crown Prince Mu's heart while entangled with him, swallowed his corpse, and escaped. The crystal directly distorted all the traces in Tunghua Palace. Even Fan Wujie and the others were altered to show that Crown Prince Mu had died and escaped to escape punishment. After the great sage of exorcism distorted all of this, the 5 great sages supported the great sage of ventilation, who was maintaining the formation to prevent the Milky Way Navy from rescuing them. They removed the 9 lights heaven-shrouding formation, turned it into an escape formation, and left under the cover of the stars. By the time Colonel Qin and the others broke into the ruins of Tunghua Palace, the place had long been deserted, leaving only a pool of pale golden blood. The heavenly eye god scanned the past with the divine light in his eyes and frowned when he saw the light and shadow of the past. Colonel Qin looked at the distorted reality of the great sage of exorcism and sneered in anger. A mere little demon girl was able to assassinate Crown Prince Mu, who was protected by several experts, and was rescued by a great sage of the demon race, who set up a remnant of the heavenly cycle star formation to stop us? When did the demon race become so powerful? Is our Milky Way Navy a bunch of trash that can't even protect the Crown Prince? Crown Prince Bo Jun's expression was also very ugly, but he continued, now that things have come to this, no matter what the truth is, we have to find that demon girl. Pass down my order, hunt down the demon girl who may have murdered the Crown Prince. Investigate the demons of the bright, barbaric region. No, investigate all the demons. Search the entire universe, and don't let a single demon go. Search the heavens and earth, and find the murderer who murdered Crown Prince Mu. Summon the demon-revealing mirror, the demon-binding chain, the demon-slaying platform, the demon-subduing sword. Don't let any suspicious person go. Chapter 13:10. There was a barren mountain with jagged rocks of all shapes and sizes. The night wind blew across the strange stone pillars, making shrill cries that sounded like the howls of wolves, and stirred up a few unknown howls in the distance. A figure was sitting on a boulder at the top of the barren mountain with his back facing the wind. The moonlight sprinkled down like water, gilding his golden hair with a layer of pure silver luster. A long stick with 2 ends of gold was erected beside him. When Bai Suzhen raised her head, she saw such a scene. The white snake coiled up, silently channeling her mystic art. After a while, she changed back into the form of a pretty lady in white. When she saw Prince Mu fainted not far from her, she quickly went to him and helped him up. But as soon as she touched him, she found out that Prince Mu's cultivation base had disappeared, even his bloodline and body had changed. He was immortal now, be it his soul, body, or bloodline, they were all different people. If not for the fact that his face didn't change, Bai Suzhen would have suspected that this person had been replaced. His injuries are too severe. The innate inextinguishable spirit light shattered his Yuan Shen. Even golden immortal Dara couldn't save him. To save him, we have to find a loophole in the laws of heaven and earth. So, I helped him reincarnate once, healed all his old injuries, reconstructed his soul with the remaining Yuan Shen, and reconstructed his body with the mystic art of creation. Now, he is a completely new person. Bai Suzhen struggled to get up. She kowtowed to the silhouette. I am Bai Suzhen, thank you for saving my life. You are thanking me? The silhouette turned around. He was a divine monkey, he smiled. Little girl, do you know who I am? Bai Suzhen quickly lowered her head. I don't know who you are, senior. Wukong scratched his ears and cheeks and said with a smile, I'm not famous, but the few before me are very famous in the demon race. Old Sun is ranked 7th among the 7 great sages, and people call him the great sage equal to heaven. Bai Suzhen's expression changed. She ignored her injuries and tried to summon her arcane energy, but just as she raised her hand, Monkey King waved his hand. I am not from the same group as them, otherwise, why would I save you? Bai Suzhen endured the pain and asked softly, Great Sage, how long have we been unconscious? Ping Tian, the great sage of the ocean cover, and the others have colluded with Crown Prince Bo Jun. If we can't hand Crown Prince Mu over to the Heavenly Court, Crown Prince Bo Jun will definitely order the Milky Way Navy to kill the demons. The great sages are already prepared, so of course they aren't afraid, but the other innocent demons. Too late. Wukong stood up and casually waved his hand. Moonlight gathered in his hand. It was the lunar true water. The silver lunar true water intertwined to form a jade plate, drawing in a distant light and shadow. The jade plate projected the magnificent Milky Way Navy's fleet scattered in all directions in the bright destruction region. At the highest point of the fleet's bridge, a bronze mirror shone in all directions, its light sweeping across everything. Wherever the mirror light went, countless demonic spirits were beaten back to their original forms. Some of the demonic spirits with resentment and sinful chi were immediately struck down by a bolt of divine lightning from the Navy's huge warship in the sky. Their souls were shattered and they died instantly. The demon revealing mirror, Bai Suzhen said anxiously. The Monkey King nodded. Under the demon revealing mirror, even the old demons, great demons, and demon kings will be beaten back to their original forms. This is the demon fighting equipment set by the Emperor Heaven to suppress the demons in the 4 directions. Old Bull still miscalculated. The Monkey King shook his head. The Heavenly Court's demon-suppressing army hasn't moved for a long time. Even Old Bull himself has forgotten the might of the Milky Way Navy. The Heavenly Court's demon-suppressing army first killed the sinful demons. Now, the inescapable net has locked down the entire Brightway region, as well as the 4 other regions. On the first day, we used the demon-revealing mirror to illuminate the entire area, causing all demons without merit to revert to their original forms. Then we used heavenly thunder to execute the most sinful of them. Occasionally, there would be demon kings and greater demons who would struggle to hold on. Immediately, demon-binding chains would descend to capture them, bind them to the demon-slaying platform, and behead them with a single slash of the saber. In a single day we killed countless rampaging demons. Bai Suzhen said anxiously, many of the demonic spirits stand aloof from worldly affairs and do not go against the Heavenly Court's laws. They also have merit to protect them. Great Sage, have you seen their whereabouts? The Monkey King shook his head. The Heavenly Court is also concerned about their reputation. The merit laws are part of the heavenly court system. The demonic spirits with a small amount of merit will naturally not be restrained by the demon-revealing mirror and killed by the heavenly thunder. These are all left behind by the Emperor Heaven. They are inscribed with the laws of the heavenly Tao. Merit can be used to offset the heavenly tribulation and exempt them from the demon-fighting equipment. If those demonic spirits have merit to protect them, as you said, even the merest amount of merit will be enough to escape this tribulation. Bai Suzhen came to a realization. So, great sage Pingtian and the others need me. The Monkey King nodded. If they force the heavenly court to slay the demons, it will be difficult for them to slash the heads of the demonic spirits that rely on the heavenly court. Merit is the golden plate that allows them to avoid death. The laws set by the Emperor Heaven in the past will not be so easily exploited. Therefore, only a demon like you, who has a lot of merit and has a close relationship with the demonic spirits that rely on the heavenly court, will have an excuse to kill those demonic spirits that rely on the heavenly court. Now, the Milky Way Navy still knows their limit. They used the excuse of Prince Mu's disappearance and did not find his corpse, which is why they did not expand the demon-slaying mission. But sooner or later they will not be able to withstand the pressure. Now, the gods under Prince Bo Jun have already used the excuse of capturing you to start attacking the demonic spirits that rely on the heavenly court. The situation is still considered mild now, but once one of them cannot withstand the humiliation and retaliates, they will immediately be suppressed with an iron fist. The situation will only become more and more severe. You don't have much time left. Bai Suzhen immediately stood up. She looked at the unconscious Lord Mu Boy and said with a headache, "But now that the Crown Prince Mu Luan has turned into a mortal, it's equivalent to a reincarnation. Who can recognize him? It shouldn't be difficult for Emperor Dong Hua, or the group of Yenluo in the underworld, or Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. Even if others can see some clues, they won't be able to produce any evidence. Other than his father, Emperor Dong Hua, the only ones who can prove his identity are the Yin gods in the underworld. Other than that, even if others can recognize him, they won't be able to convince others," said the Monkey King lightly. He suddenly chuckled. "For example, I can prove that he is Prince Mu, but in the heavenly court, can you say that the Monkey King can prove it? Even if I stand out, the heavenly court doesn't want to kill me, that's good enough. Will they listen to my words? No matter what, I can't let so many innocent demon spirits die because of me." Bai Suzhen's eyebrows showed a hint of determination, diluting her originally weak and injured appearance. "Lady, it's not because of you that they are in trouble, but because someone wants them dead, that's why they were chosen." The Monkey King sighed. "This old cow is not as cute as the previous one." Sigh. Just as the white snake was silent and trying to think of a solution, Prince Mu, who was on the rock, slowly woke up. He looked around blankly and asked in confusion, "Where is this? Who are you? Where's my cow?" He stood up and looked around in fear. "Where's my cow? How did I lose my cow?" The Monkey King whispered into Bai Suzhen's ear. After his essence soul reincarnated, Prince Mu is equivalent to his previous life. He has no memories. I used the light of eternity divine power to graft his life onto a shepherd boy's body. Now, he thinks he is an ordinary shepherd boy. Go and fool him. Make him stop shouting. "Cow!" The shepherd boy called out loudly. "Yes." He pinched his nose and imitated a cow's cry. He stuffed his fingers into his mouth and whistled in a practiced manner. Seeing the white-clothed Bai Suzhen slowly walk towards him, the shepherd boy asked in a daze, "Sister, do you see my cow? I think I lost my cow." Bai Suzhen held her forehead and felt the exhaustion that came from her heart. She said helplessly, "Think on the bright side. Maybe it's not that you lost your cow. What if you lost it?" The shepherd boy let out an exclamation before coming to his senses. "Where is this? So in my previous life, I was the son of an immortal in heaven. Because of my death, he wanted to kill all the demons in the world. In order to save the demons in the world, he wanted me to realize my previous life and restore my memories. To stop the heavenly courts from slaughtering the demons? The shepherd boy pointed at himself and said, "Being an immortal in heaven is not bad. But what does the death of the demons have to do with me?" Bai Suzhen rubbed her forehead weakly and said, "It has to do with me. So, you help me recover my memories and realize my previous life. After I recover my memories, I will help you stop the massacre of the demons." The shepherd boy concluded very clearly. "Then how did I die in my previous life?" the shepherd boy asked in puzzlement. Bai Suzhen fell silent for a moment before saying, "He was killed by the strongest demon, the great sage of ocean cover. The other 5 great sages also participated." The atmosphere fell into an awkward silence. After a while, the shepherd boy said, "I do not have any objections. But after I recover my memories and realize my previous life, it is hard to say if I will admit to it. Don't blame me when the time comes." The white snake said in a speechless manner, "Prince Mu will not have any objections because he knows this is just a conspiracy. Then help me find my previous life and become an immortal," the shepherd boy said cheerfully. Bai Suzhen turned her head to look at the Monkey King. The Monkey King helplessly shrugged and said, "How would I know that his personality would change so much in 2 lives? The secrets of samsara are indeed unfathomable. It is hard to know." "Great sage, you are powerful. Do you have any way to make him realize his previous life?" Bai Suzhen pleaded. The Monkey King frowned and pondered for a long time before saying, "There are many ways, but they are all very difficult. To realize his previous life, the best way is naturally in the netherworld. Be it the connate numinous treasure 3 live stone, the wheel of reincarnation mirror, or the 10 halls Yenluo, the heavenly lord of salvation from misery, or Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, they can all be done. But the problem is that not only do I have to make him realize his previous life, I have to make him return to his previous life. Samsara is like the light of the universe. There is always advancement and no retreat. Going against the river of time is the curse of the torch dragon. Going against samsara is also a violation of the laws of the netherworld. To reverse samsara, there are not many mighty figures in the world who can do it, unless it is Her Majesty Hutu, who created the laws of samsara, or Patriarch River Styx, who discussed the Tao with Her Majesty Hutu and used the 9 questions of the netherworld to point out the 9 fundamental flaws of the laws of samsara. The mighty figures in the world who are proficient in the laws of samsara are either in the heavens or the earth. Bai Suzhen said, "Going to the heavenly courts is equivalent to walking right into a trap. With Prince Mu's present state, there is no way he can explain himself if he goes to the heavenly courts. The only thing we can do now is to head to the netherworld and the netherworld." "But this shepherd boy is now a mortal. How can he go to the netherworld?" asked the Monkey King. Bai Suzhen silently turned her head and looked at the confused shepherd boy. He said in a daze, "Are you asking me to die?" Chapter 13:11. We've lost. The Shui-Tu King's bald head was unkempt, and strands of hair fell over his shoulders. It was an eyesore to look at. He said angrily, "The ancient experts are too much. They're just a few bumpkins from the demon race. How could the 7 sages each have a connate spiritual treasure? That's too much." Ajati sighed. "We've only just arrived and didn't know what was going on. That's why we were caught off guard by the 7 sages. Now that Prince Mu's whereabouts are unknown, we don't have a backer in the celestial court, and we don't dare to go back." He sighed and shook his head. "We've also lost Fan Wujie. What should we do about what demon ancestor told us to do? Fan Wujie's condition is a little strange. The spell I placed on him has been washed away. The curse that Yuan Yu had placed on Fan Wujie's 8-armed godfiend tattoo had dissipated. Even the heart demon blood oath couldn't find him. Yuan Yu didn't know how Fan Wujie had washed it away. Seeing this, he secretly regretted attacking the true spirit, but the white snake is still there. Yuan Yu said. When the white snake brought Prince Mu out of the array formation, I used the oceanic calming pearl to help them. I also left the oceanic calming pearl's mark on the white snake, but after they escaped the array formation, they were secretly rescued by someone. Now that I can sense the mark, we can still catch up to them. The Shui Tu King sighed. At first, I vaguely sensed that Demon King Jiao and Demon Heart Old Man seemed to be in cahoot. Demon Heart Old Man attacked Prince Mu several times, but after we stopped him, he turned around and attacked Prince Bo Jun. I was a little wary, but in the end I didn't think too much about it. I thought that even if Demon King Jiao and Demon Heart Old Man fought, the four of us would have a way to deal with them. I didn't expect the primordial universe's culture to be so bad. If you can't beat them, you call for help. All of them have connate numinous treasures. Are the connate numinous treasures of the primordial world so worthless? Yuan Yu said solemnly, although the two apes have connate numinous treasures, there's nothing to worry about. Only the Rock Demon King, Jiao Demon King, and Bull Demon King have connate numinous treasures that are compatible with their nature. Even if I use Dara's magic power, I won't be able to do anything to them unless I use the chaotic godfiend body. The Shui Tu King and Ajati looked at each other and shook their heads. Although we don't know what the demon ancestor is planning, it's not the time for you to expose yourself yet. Yuan Yu nodded and said, furthermore, although the primordial world is rich in resources and experts are everywhere, there aren't many who can bestow connate numinous treasures to Dao Lords. Only Jie School had such wealth back then. Behind these great sages of the demon race, there must be a huge figure that is not inferior to Jie School. The Shui Tu King and Wu Xing pondered for a moment, then suddenly said in unison, Tai Divine Court. Just as the three of them were conversing, a beam of light suddenly descended from the sky and swept through the surroundings, illuminating the entire world. Every blade of grass, every tree, and even the tiniest hair was revealed. From insects to tigers and leopards, nothing could escape the lock of that beam of light. The Shui Tu King frowned and said, "It's the Milky Way Navy again. The demon-revealing mirror is searching the world. It seems that Prince Bo Jun has not relaxed his investigation on us and the White Snake. Let's go, find the White Snake." Yuan Yu took out the sea-calming divine pearl, and with a flash of 5-colored light, it shone through the shadows and complicated structure of the primordial world. The three of them used the world formed by the sea-calming divine pearl to lock onto a tiny mark in the distance. The sea-calming divine pearl struck the void of the primordial world and flew towards the mark. The shepherd boy held back his tears and wrapped his neck in the white silk. He looked at Bai Suzhen with pitiful eyes. Bai Suzhen said helplessly, "We will follow your soul into the netherworld. We won't let you die." The Monkey King held a peach in his right hand and said with a smile, "Back then, I made friends with heroes from all over the world. I have many friends and connections. Isn't going to the netherworld the same as going home? It's very easy. It's a pity that the current Yenluo of the 10 halls is not the 10 halls Yenluo I know. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, I know him, but he doesn't know me. Otherwise, he would have given my brother Dojan some face." Now, the two gods guarding the gates of the netherworld, Shen Tu and Yulei, do not have any relationship with me. Otherwise, why would it be so troublesome to cross the gates of hell? Kid, don't drag your feet. As a man, how can you hang yourself to death with a 3-foot white silk? Let me, Old Sun, send you off with a rod. Those who die under Old Sun's rod are not nameless ghosts. At the very least, it will be a great demon. I guarantee that you will be honored. The shepherd boy looked at the fiendish Jingu Bang, and did not dare to agree. If he was hanged, he would still have a complete corpse. If he was hit in the head by the rod, wouldn't his brain matter splatter? When the time came, it would leave a bull-sized scar. He was just a little shepherd boy. He was counting on his pretty face to marry a wife. What if he was disfigured? In his panic, he missed a step and instantly strangled his neck. He could only struggle with his legs wide open. Bai Suzhen turned her head and could not bear to look at him. She chatted with the Monkey King. Great sage, legend has it that the netherworld is not in the same world as the primordial world. If you want to enter, you can only go through the Ghost Gate. How the soul enters the netherworld is a secret. In the heavenly realm where the heavenly court is located, there are a few strange divine mountains that can be explored, such as the East Pole Tree, the West Pole Kunlun, the South Pole Sky Pillar, and the North Pole Wilderness. But where is the Ghost Gate? In the middle of the sea, there is Du Shua Mountain. On top of it there is a peach tree that stretches for 3,000 miles. In the northeast of Beiji there is the Ghost Gate, where thousands of ghosts enter and exit. The two gods, Shin Tu and Yulei, live there. The Monkey King chewed on a peach and said, I once went to the Ghost Gate to steal peaches from the big peach tree. I was chased away by Shin Tu and Yulei several times. Although we are not friends with my martial uncle's face, we can secretly follow that kid's soul in. I think the two gods will turn a blind eye to it. The 10 halls of Yenluo are nothing. They are the masters of the netherworld in name, but in reality they are all people. They don't have to give them face. I, old son, don't care about them. Only the two gods, Shin Tu and Yulei, are the great magi who followed Her Majesty Hutu. They are like Xingtian, Dai Quafu, and Chiyu. Back then, the netherworld was still called Yudu City. Before reincarnation was established, they guarded the gates of Yudu City for Her Majesty Hutu. Now, the darkness of Yudu City has been turned into the netherworld by Her Majesty Hutu. The gates of Yudu City have also become the gates of hell. They are still guarding in front of the gates. They are the first barrier of the netherworld. No god can stop them. I can't easily sneak in. Sigh. Is that kid dead yet? The Monkey King pointed at Shepherd Boy who was still twitching. Bai Suzhen went over to check Shepherd Boy's pulse and shook her head. He just fainted. There's still some time before he stops breathing. At this moment the void suddenly split open. Yuan Yu and company came out one after another. They saw Shepherd Boy hanging from the tree and Bai Suzhen, who was testing her breathing. The three of them were stunned by the absurd scene before they reacted. The Xue Tu King raised his butcher knife and said angrily, This demoness is indeed up to no good. She even plotted to harm Prince Mu's life. Bai Suzhen hurriedly explained, Fellow Taoists, please wait. If you wait any longer, the kid will stop breathing. The Xue Tu King glared and said, You still want to stall for time? Ajadi, go save Prince Mu. I'll settle the score with this woman. Bai Suzhen could only watch as Ajadi went forward to untie the white silk. Ajadi pressed down on Shepherd Boy's chest and frowned. He felt that something was amiss. When did Prince Mu become a mortal? He used his dermic powers to send a wisp of his aura over. Shepherd Boy coughed twice and caught his breath. He slowly woke up. The Monkey King watched coldly from the side. That's right, Shepherd Boy had been saved by them, but he would die again. However, what did that have to do with the Monkey King? He did not want to waste his breath explaining. They were just two blood fiends, juniors of the grim demon lineage. In terms of seniority, the Monkey King could be considered their ancestor. Shepherd Boy Lord focused and groaned. Is this the underworld? What a strong sun. It's making me dizzy. The Xue Tu King looked up at the huge moon in the sky and extended his hand to touch Shepherd Boy's forehead. He said in puzzlement, This person looks like Prince Mu, but he's immortal. Furthermore, his essence, soul, and bloodline are different from Prince Mu's. What kind of divine power or dharma spell is this? Could it be the samsara of 3 lives' divine power? Is his brain spoiled? Yuan Yu sighed and said, We are friends after all. Even if his brain is spoiled, we cannot let him fall into the hands of Prince Bo Jun. Bai Suzhen finally had a chance to explain. After she told him the whole story, Yuan Yu said solemnly, Prince Mu suffered a strike from a connate numinous treasure. His essence soul was shattered by the inextinguishable spiritual light. Indeed, he can only be saved with the help of the samsara laws. However, to restore his memories of his past life, or even return to his past life, other than Her Majesty Huda's mercy, the only way is to seek help from the demon ancestor River Styx. Shwe-Tu, the Shwe-Tu king said with a sad face, it has always been the elder ancestor who wants us to do something. How can we have the face to ask the elder ancestor to help us? Wu Xing rolled his eyes and said, our cult worships the elder ancestor Yuantu every year. Every time we ask the elder ancestor to help us, the cult leader, we have to kneel and kowtow to him and beg him. Unless the lifeless cult is facing death, the elder ancestor won't do anything. The elder ancestor River Styx is our true elder ancestor. I can't even see him. Even if there is a decree, I can only kneel and accept it. I am so excited to be sent to monitor you, Yin Yang Demon Master, that I am willing to risk my life. I even want to enter the sinkhole. At this point, we can only take it one step at a time. Yuan Yu sighed and picked up the 3-foot-long white silk. He gestured at Shepherd Boy's neck. Seeing Shepherd Boy's frightened eyes, Yuan Yu could not help but say, Old Tu, why don't you do it? The Shwe-Tu king was a burly man. He had never cared about such things. He laughed boldly and said, I'll do it. After Shepherd Boy woke up, he looked at the barren mountain that had not changed. He then looked at the helpless Bai Suzhen, as well as the puzzled Ajati and Yuan Yu who were studying him. Finally, there was the ferocious Shwe-Tu, who was holding the white silk around his neck. He cried out in grievance, If you want me to die, I will die. Why did you save me after dying halfway? Then, you want me to die again? Who tortures people like you? Hovering between life and death, it's too scary. Suddenly, a rod hit the back of Shepherd Boy's head. His eyes rolled back and he died. The Monkey King criticized, It's just too torturous. I can't watch it anymore. Can't you be more straightforward? Chapter 13:12. Let's go. Wukong pulled Bai Suzhen and brought Shepherd Boy Lord's corpse into the void. The blood-soaked demon lord and company followed closely behind. They entered a shadowy world. This world was hidden in the shadows of the primordial world. It was very secretive. Only by passing through this place could they reach Mount Du She. Monkey King seemed to be familiar with the place. The Shwe-Tu king was surprised. Your cultivation is not bad. Although you are the youngest among the 7 great sages, in my opinion, you are better than the Macaque King and Yushin King. You are not inferior to the Lion Camel King, just slightly weaker than the Rock Demon King and the Dragon Demon King. He paused for a moment before continuing, but there are many suspicious points about you. For example, why did you betray the other 6 great sages? Why did 6 of the 7 great sages come? And why did you coincidentally help Bai Suzhen escape from the pursuit? You said you are not on the same side. Then why did the Bull Demon King and the rest let a demon who is not on the same side become a great sage? The 7 great sages were left behind by the Great One Divine Court in the primordial world. They were given the responsibility of uniting the demon race and receiving the return of the Great One Divine Emperor. They were the 7 powerhouses of the demon race. How could such a prominent and important position be given to a disloyal demon? Since the Bull Demon King knew you were disloyal, how did you know that the 6 great sages came to kill Crown Prince Mu? And you intervened in time to save Bai Suzhen and Crown Prince Mu. I know that Crown Prince Mu's injuries are serious. But now that he has to go to the underworld, it seems that you are behind it. Wukong nodded and stretched out his hand. The divine talisman bestowed by the goddess of Mount Leon Bai Suzhen's body suddenly floated up and landed in Wukong's hand. With a flip of his hand, he struck out a divine ability and actually repaired the divine talisman out of thin air, returning it to Bai Suzhen's hands. Bai Suzhen checked the talisman in shock. She found that, after the Monkey King's attack, the talisman had recovered 80% of its power. The Monkey King smiled and said, "Why are you comparing me to trash like the Rock Demon King? Even though I'm the youngest, I'm giving way to them. Among the 7 sages, I'm the most powerful." Bai Suzhen held the talisman and bowed. "May I know how you are related to your master, Saint Mother of Mount Lishan? Before I left, your master gave me the talisman. She said that I can use this talisman to ask for help from a senior with a great background. Is this senior before me?" Monkey King scratched his ears and laughed. "I knew it when I saw Fourth Sister's talisman. Thanks to her, I helped you this time. Otherwise, I won't get involved in the troubles of the netherworld." "Your Excellency is actually old Mother Lishan's brother and sister?" the Shui-Tu King exclaimed. The Monkey King scratched his left hand and pointed at them, laughing. "Ha ha! Don't you know that old Mother Lishan is also a female monkey? Back in the primal chaos, there was a fiend god called the Chaos Demon Ape. In a battle with the great god Pangu, he died of exhaustion. After his death, his chi turned into a ferocious beast of the ape family. Most of the ape divine beasts of the primal chaos came from his bloodline. Among them, the direct descendants of the Chaos Demon Ape are known as the 4 chaotic monkeys. We're all brothers and sisters. Old Mother Lishan was the eldest senior sister of the Jie sect, the incongruence Divine Mother. When the Nuwa Divine Mother created humans, she was not familiar with it, so she came to me first to ask for the Chaos Demon Ape's bloodline. Based on the appearance of the 4 chaotic monkeys, she created a hominoid that was half human and half monkey. Then, based on the Pangu true form, she created the human race. That hominoid was the incarnation of the incongruence Divine Mother, who was later known as the Old Mother of Mount Lishan. She was the first hominoid in the world. She looked half human and half ape. Later, as her cultivation deepened, she gradually took on a human form. Because of her, the demon race learned the secret of transforming into humans. The Old Mother of Mount Lishan created the demon race's cultivation method to transform into humans. Originally, she wanted to assimilate all the demons in the world into the human race. Therefore, it was not taboo to accept disciples. Even a little snake demon like you could become her disciple. Because she was originally half human and half ape, she was also half human and half demon. She represented the hominoid incarnation of demons that transformed into humans. She had a very special position among the demon race. Her true form was the incongruence Divine Mother, the eldest senior sister of the Jie sect. She had a wide network of connections, and her old acquaintances were all over the primal chaos. Moreover, she was highly respected in the Jie sect. Her other incarnation, the Ajati matriarch, was a great venerable of the divine path. Her foundation was extremely deep. Legend has it that the Ajati matriarch was an ancient deity from the same era as the Nuwa Divine Mother and Lady Hutu in the ancient Divine Path era. Later, she reincarnated and became the disciple of the Tongtian sect leader, becoming the eldest senior sister of the Mystic Doors Jie sect. My brothers and sisters are all descendants of the Chaos Demonic Ape. I call myself the Monkey King. I'm a spiritual stone monkey. I'm proficient in transformations, know the weather, know the geography, and can move the stars. My second brother, the Tongtian Great Sage, is a long-armed ape. He holds the sun and the moon, shrinks 1,000 mountains, distinguishes between right and wrong, and manipulates the universe. My third sister, the Wu Jiqi Divine Mother, is a primordial water ape. She can control 1,000 rivers, control 10,000 waters, and travel in and out of the ultimate ruins. My fourth sister, the Lishan Divine Mother, is also an ancient primitive person. She's the ancestor of the human race. She teaches demons and rules all living beings. She's a descendant of Nuwa. The bloodline of the Chaos Demonic Ape respects me. What's wrong with me, the Monkey King, being the eldest brother? Only then did the Shui-Tu King understand. Everything had an explanation. He secretly whispered to Ajati, "So it's because he's from a good family." Why did the 7 great sages choose the Monkey King, who was not of the same mind as the Bull Demon King and the others? It was because he was from a good family. The two of them had some understanding of the history of the primordial divine court. When the primordial divine court was established by the primordial divine court, the order of the heavenly Tao was established by the bloodline law. The order of the primordial divine court was determined according to the nobility of the bloodline. The rulers of the primordial divine court were all innate gods. Their descendants were innate living beings. The primordial divine court used the bloodline law to engrave the heavenly Tao so that the descendants of the gods did not need to cultivate. They could grow to an extremely powerful level just by relying on their bloodline. Cultivation could be inherited through the bloodline, and aptitude and comprehension could be determined by the bloodline. In fact, beings with lowly bloodlines would instinctively obey those with noble bloodlines. This natural order ensured that the creatures with powerful bloodlines would always dominate the ruling class. Bloodlines naturally created order. All living beings in the untainted land only needed to establish order according to the level of their bloodline, and finally submit to the noblest innate gods of the primordial divine court and their bloodline. But the foundation of the bloodline law was the natural ruling order, so the primordial divine court could not be the source of bloodlines, because there were chaotic godfiends above it, and the most powerful bloodline was, of course, the great god Pangu. After the chaotic godfiends died, they were refined by Pangu and eventually turned into the untainted land. Their most essential bloodline and power became innate gods, so the source of the bloodline law could only be chaotic godfiends. In other words, chaotic godfiends were the source of bloodlines. There were strong and weak bloodlines among chaotic godfiends. In the future, in the process of bloodlines multiplying and blending with each other, the strong bloodline would erode the weak bloodline. Finally, the strongest of the chaotic godfiends would dominate the bloodline. Among them, the dragon, phoenix, and Qilin clans were the strongest, and the apes were also an extremely powerful clan with countless descendants. In this way, the chaos demon ape, as the strongest of the bloodlines of the apes, would dominate the bloodline order of the apes. Among the demon clan, the apes also had great potential and many branches. It could even be said that they were the most powerful branch in the demon clan. In the bloodline order created by the primordial divine court, the chaos demon ape, as the source of the ape bloodline, had the natural authority to rule, and was also the natural ruler of the order divided by the primordial divine court. Even the primordial divine court himself could not overthrow the order set by him. Therefore, as the natural leader of the countless demons of the ape race, even if the Monkey King was not on the same page as the other great sages, he had to be one of the 7 great sages, because, in the order of the demon clan, he was a natural royal. No wonder the higher-ups of the demon clan still followed the Tai-E deity wholeheartedly after the Tai-E divine court was destroyed by the celestial emperor. That's because the bloodline method protected their interests. Any demon clan with a powerful bloodline would definitely hate the heavenly court for destroying the bloodline method, causing their bloodline to be suppressed by the heavenly Tao and gradually degenerate, the lifeless cult master said emotionally. Originally, the descendants of connate lifeforms were born immortals, and those with powerful bloodlines would even become Tao lords when they reached adulthood. There were even some connate divine descendants who were born as Tao lords, and when they reached adulthood, they would become Tai dispersers. Now, no matter how good their bloodline is, it's just that their aptitude is better than others. They no longer have the benefit of only growing and not cultivating. The two briefly explained the content of the bloodline law. It also indirectly explained the reason why the Monkey King was able to mix around with the 7 great sages. Bai Suzhen could not help but ask, "Great sage, since you are from such a noble background, why are you still opposing the other 6 great sages to welcome back the primordial divine court? If you welcome back the primordial divine court, All the apes and monkeys in the world will be your people. Your power is not weaker than the emperor of the heavenly court. Aren't the future 7 great sages also the future 7 emperors of the primordial demon court? The Monkey King said, "Do you know how the bloodline law was broken back then? The bloodline law, the merit law, these laws that set the order of the world are also known as the Heavenly Tao Law. The Heavenly Tao Law, engraving the Heavenly Tao, establishing the basic laws of the primordial world, binding all living beings, and legislating for all living beings in the world. What kind of boldness is this? The demon emperor established the bloodline law, the emperor of heaven established the merit law, the Hudu established the reincarnation law, the river Styx established the evolution law, the emperor Wa established the creation law, the emperor Shi established the number of changes, the 3 pure ones established the immortal Tao, Sakya established the sand gate law to legislate for the world and the universe, to engrave order in the laws, so that all living beings will follow your laws. How did such a great undertaking come to an end in a single day?" The Monkey King shook his head and smiled. "Do you know that when Nuwa created humans, the world changed color and ghosts and gods cried? It was the primordial divine court that was crying. They were in pain because of the collapse of their bloodline law. Because the human race is a race without any restrictions and has unlimited potential. The human race's bloodline follows the great god Pangu. Who can surpass Pangu in the world? Therefore, in the bloodline law, the human race is an anomaly. The bloodline of the human race is not restricted by the bloodline law. But the human race was too weak at that time. Therefore, Lady Hutu stood up as the true descendant of Pangu. The 12 ancestors of witches led the witch race to destroy the bloodline law and severely damage the order established by the demon court. Then, Ancestor River Styx established the evolution law with the Avicii sword. Apart from the bloodline law, he opened the path of evolution for the demon race's bloodline, allowing the lowliest and most ordinary demon race to have a chance to walk to the end of the bloodline law. He continued to deal a heavy blow to the bloodline law established by the primordial divine court. After that, the Emperor of Heaven rose to power. During the Third War between the witch race and the demon race, he killed the demon emperor and personally destroyed the order of the heavenly Tao of the bloodline law. Now, there are only some remnants that still protect the traditional authority of the demon race. This kind of order that has already passed away and failed. What is there for me to protect and keep? The Monkey King laughed and said, "If it fails, just sweep it into the trash. Why is there a need to crawl out and struggle at death's door? Even if the demon race wants to rise again, they need to establish a new order of the heavenly Tao. Why must they walk the old path of the past?" The few of them fell silent when they heard this. They silently followed Shepherd Boy's soul in front of them and arrived at a strange place. Shepherd Boy's soul was as weak as a mortal's. After it left his body, it was in a state of chaos. In the shadow world, it was pulled away for a long time before he snapped to his senses. He looked up and saw a tall, pitch-black mountain range in front of him. On the mountain range, there was a peach tree that blotted out the sky like the eastern Jianmu tree. Where is this? Shepherd Boy stood at the foot of the Black Mountain and felt extremely tiny. In front of him, there was an endless army of souls slowly entering the Black Mountain. The Monkey King said, "This is Mount Dushua. It's also known as Een Mountain or Black Mountain. It's where the Ghost Gate is." The Ghost Gate is an extremely mystical connate numinous treasure. Therefore, this place is not located anywhere in the 3 realms. It exists in every corner of the 3 realms. After the soul leaves the body, it will be attracted by the Ghost Gate and come here. Behind the peach tree was indeed an indescribably gigantic door. 2 gods that were as tall as black mountains stood under the peach tree. Their backs faced the Ghost Gate as they guarded the door to the underworld. The Monkey King produced an invisibility incantation to hide his body. He gestured for the others to hide as well. At the same time, he urged Shepherd Boy, Quick, let's go. Don't let those two old men discover us. Shepherd Boy walked forward in a daze and blended into the massive army of souls. He was pushed forward towards the ghost gate. Just as he walked under the peach tree, he saw the god on his right suddenly lean down. He was extremely large, and one of his eyes was like a huge sun. The tiny shepherd boy was nothing in his eyes, but the god sized up the tiny shepherd boy, who was like an ant. He rubbed his chin and mumbled, "Why do I smell like a monkey? There are also traces of the demonic path. Strange, strange. Shinshu, come over and take a look. This little guy is quite interesting." The other god also lowered his mountain-like head. Shepherd Boy felt uneasy under his gaze. After a moment, he mustered his courage and said, "Do the two gods have any problems? If there's no problem, I'm in a rush to reincarnate. There's no time to waste." Shinshu's voice caused the entire Een Mountain to tremble. He said in a low, muffled voice, "Kid, you haven't reached the end of your lifespan. Why are you reincarnating? Kid, you are a little strange. In your previous life, I think you were Celestial Emperor Dong Hua's son." "Did Celestial Emperor Dong Hua's son die?" Yulei mumbled. "Will he come to find trouble with us?" "After Her Majesty Hudu went into seclusion, the heavenly courts has been busy. Every small matter will cause a ruckus and stir up reincarnation. If I had to say, let's kill that Chakra King and feed him to Divine Tiger. They have made the netherworld a mess. And that Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. He's always up to no good. Kill him as well. When he passes by us one day, I'll go up and intercept him. Big brother, you hit the back of his head with an axe. Let him trick us and sneak into the netherworld. After tricking us into opening the gates of hell, he actually went to live in the netherworld. He's really bullying us brothers for having a good temper," Shinshu said in an evil tone. "I smell the scent of a demon." Yulei mumbled. "I'm afraid that River Styx is up to mischief again. Lower your voice, don't mention that person's name. Back then, he tricked us into tying us up under the big peach tree and barged in to discuss the Tao with Her Majesty. After that, Her Majesty blamed us for a long time. You were the most foolish to actually believe his words. You caused me to be blamed by Her Majesty," Shinshu said in a low voice. "You even said that back then, if you hadn't let Emperor of Heaven in." Yulei also grumbled in a low voice. Yuan Yu and company, who were hiding on Shepherd Boy's body, thought to themselves, "So it turns out that you two guards are leaking information everywhere. It's no wonder Monkey King dared to sneak into the gates of hell." Shepherd Boy took advantage of their whispered quarrel to quietly move towards the gates of hell. He was about to sneak in. At this moment, a huge axe blocked the path in front of him, like an iron wall blocking him. Yulei glanced at him and said, "Kid, you can go in, but put down the people on you." Shepherd Boy said in a trembling voice, Who is it?" "I don't know." The two gods stared at him and said, "You still want to deceive us. Back then, River Styx. After that, we paid close attention to the scent of those demon bastards. You can deceive others, but you can't deceive us brothers. If you say another word of falsehood, we will feed you to Divine Tiger. Whatever Celestial Lord Dong Hua's reputation is useless." Chapter 13:13. Under the peach tree, a divine tiger that was as large as a small mountain peeked its head out in excitement. The divine tiger had brownish-yellow fur, golden eyes, and a white forehead. As it walked, it brought with it an evil wind. This was the true Nether Hell wind. If an ordinary immortal were to come into contact with it, their soul would be sucked away, turning into a member of the dense horde of ghosts behind it that resembled a black tide. Although the divine tiger was mighty, it was only a kitten in front of the two gods that were as tall as the pillars of the heavens. It seemed to understand the words of the two gods, Shentu and Yulei, but when it saw Shepherd Boy's tiny body that was about to dissipate with a gust of wind, its expectant gaze immediately turned to disappointment. It placed its two large furry paws under its chin and found a comfortable position to lie down. It lazily looked at Shepherd Boy and the two gods. When it looked up, its eyes seemed to be filled with disdain. When Shinto saw its expression, he immediately said angrily, "What's with that look of yours? You bastard! When we carried you here, you were only the size of a kitten. That enlightened beast of the Queen Mother of the West gave birth to a freak like you with only one head. She didn't want you, so she gave you to our Queen Mother, who handed you over to us to raise. Other than the ghost peach tree that only produces peaches, there is nothing to eat in the gates of hell. We used the evil spirits that wanted to escape the gates of hell to raise you. We raised you with shit and piss until now, hoping that you would help guard the door. Now all you do is eat and sleep. You're even picky. In the past few years, other than the big ghosts and the Ghost King, you haven't eaten any of the small ghosts or evil spirits. You're as fat as a pig." Yulei slammed his axe into the ground, brushing past the divine tiger's head before sinking into the ground. "If this goes on, what's the point of raising you? Why don't we kill you and eat your meat?" The divine tiger leaped up and opened its mouth to roar. It pretended to bite at Shepherd Boy. Shinto hurriedly grabbed its mouth and forcefully closed it. He scolded, "This is a kid from Celestial Lord Dong Hua's family. He's not someone you can eat as you please. And all of you, when are you going to hide? Come out." With that said, he patted the divine tiger in his hand. The divine tiger's golden eyes shot out a beam of divine light that nailed Shepherd Boy. Yuan Yu and the others had nowhere to hide, so they could only reveal themselves. At that moment, Shin Tu's divine tiger leapt up from the ground and excitedly stared at the group, saliva slowly dripping from its mouth as it looked up at great god Shin Tu expectantly, its two hill-sized claws constantly pulling at Shin Tu's trousers. Great god Shin Tu pulled up his trousers and glared at the group, two demon brats, one heavenly master Dara of the mystic door, and one little enchantress. "Strange, strange, how did you all get together? What are you plotting to infiltrate hell?" Hearing his words, Yuan Yu looked left and right and was shocked. The great sage, heaven's equal, had disappeared. All of them had been seen through by the gatekeeper, Shin Tu Yulei, but that damned monkey had actually disappeared without a trace. At this moment, Bai Suzhen was still the most responsible. She faced the two great gods, Shintu and Yulei, and gently said, "This little girl is Bai Suzhen. I was originally a little demon cultivating under the goddess of Mountly. I pay my respects to the two great gods." "So you are a subordinate of the goddess of Mountly. Things are getting more and more interesting." Two demon children under the Nether River Patriarch, a celestial master of the Celestial Gate, and a little demon under the Old Mother of Mountly were following the son of the Celestial Court's Celestial Emperor Dong Hua to sneak into the Netherworld. This was big trouble. Fortunately, this god's eyes can see through the three realms. "Tell me, do you want to subvert the three realms or reverse reincarnation?" Bai Suzhen's beautiful face turned pale. Why did these two great gods look so strange? She still explained, reporting to the great gods, "This little demon was originally an ordinary demon spirit, but because of a misfortune, I was inadvertently involved in the plot of the 7 great sages of the demon clan to assassinate the heavenly court's Prince Mu. In order not to implicate others, I brought the prince here to seek medical treatment. As for the two fellow Taoists from the Devil Path..." Bai Suzhen raised her head again and looked at Xue Tuesday. Wu Xing's eyes were a little surprised and doubtful. Xue Tu and Wu Xing were also helpless. Who asked the Devil Path to have such a bad reputation? Everyone instinctively did not trust them. Heaven have mercy. They, the Devil Path, had not done anything disgraceful. Resisting deceit, slaughtering all living beings, killing decisively, turning hostile, scheming, bullying the kind and fearing the evil, these were all the traditions of the Devil Path. Traditions? Why didn't all living beings in the primitive land know how to respect each other? As for the two fellow Taoists from the Devil Path, They are Prince Mu's friends. After knowing the whereabouts of Prince Mu, they escorted us to the gate of hell. I am not familiar with them. Great God Yulei touched his chin and said, Emperor Dong Hua's family is very strict. He has always strictly ordered his family not to make friends with bandit. I didn't expect his son to make friends with two Devil Path people. How daring. He will not have a good ending when he goes back. This time, you saved him, but I'm afraid you will be sent into reincarnation by Emperor Dong Hua again next time. Also, you people from the Devil Path are around the prince. There must be some conspiracy. What about this heavenly master of the mystic door? Did he discover the conspiracy of the Devil Path and come to investigate? This, Yuan Yu said embarrassedly. The Shui Tu king said gloomily, Open your eyes. This is the Yin-Yang demon master of our Devil Path. He is here on the orders of the River Styx demon ancestor to stir up something big. Don't you know? Knowing too much, you will die. You are threatening me. Great God Yulei's eyes widened. Shintu whispered in his ear, This is not the first time that River Styx has stirred up something big. If you get involved, you will not end well. Don't forget the last time he came to the underworld. We can't afford to offend River Styx. Let them go quietly. Anyway, the goddess is not in charge anymore. The property of the underworld is not worth it for us to risk our lives. River Styx is stirring up something big again. I'm afraid this time he is going to destroy the entire underworld. Well done. Maybe it is the goddess's intention. We are blind and ruined the goddess's plan. Yulei rolled his eyes and felt that it was not worth arguing with them. The two of us are just gatekeepers. When the goddess is here, we can do our best, but now the heavenly court doesn't treat us as one of their own. Why should we go through the trouble for them? And this time, the youngest son of Emperor Dong Hua is also involved. Who knows, we might be asking for trouble if we meddle in other people's business. The two great gods exchanged glances and felt that there was no need to get involved in this mess. But I can't lose face. Great God Yulei made up his mind and said, I just need to scare them. He immediately stood up and looked at them coldly like a pillar supporting the sky. Such big words. Generally speaking, demon cubs with such big words are used to feed Divine Tiger. When the huge Divine Tiger heard this, he quickly stood up and stared at the few people excitedly, salivating. He trod on the ground with small, quick steps, and his meaty paws were silent, showing his excitement. The ghost gate often had great ghosts who wanted to kill their way into the world of the living, so there was no shortage of food. However, ghosts were full of vitality, but their stomachs were not full. Even after eating a lot, their stomachs were still empty. Divine Tiger had long been looking forward to the arrival of two flesh and blood. But, as soon as Yulei's tone changed, Divine Tiger's mood dropped visibly, and he looked at Shintu with a hint of resentment in his eyes. Damn it, every time you say feed me, why don't you feed me? There is true love in the world. Seeing the world-shaking love between Imperial Prince Mu and this little white snake, even this god, who has a heart of stone that has been cold for thousands of eons, couldn't help but be moved. What a touching feeling this is, one that transcends all obstacles. The high and mighty heavenly court's imperial prince is actually moved by a little snake monster from the mortal world. In order to save her lover, this white snake did not hesitate to break into the underworld and reverse the cycle of reincarnation. Violating the taboo of life and death, breaking through the barrier between heaven and earth, what kind of love is this? How can this god not be moved? Go in. Today, this god will give you a way out. Bai Suzhen wore a dazed look on her face as she stared blankly at Shintu and Yulei, who were imagining a lot of things, and thought to herself, I don't have any relationship with Imperial Prince Mu. Two seniors, why would great God say that? Could it be our actions are very misunderstood? Little Qing. Xiaoqing. I went out on this trip, and I found you a brother-in-law just like that? Could the fated person that Her Majesty the Holy Mother mentioned be referring to this fate? For a moment, Bai Suzhen's heart was in a mess. On the other hand, Xue Tu, Wu Xing, Yuan Yu and company looked calm. They had seen through it but did not say it out loud. They squeezed out a few tears and pretended to be moved, as if they had not yet had their sexual intercourse. They surrounded Bai Suzhen and Shepherd Boy and walked towards the gates of hell. The divine tiger behind them looked as if the sky had collapsed. He looked at them reluctantly as they walked towards the gates of hell. Yulei whispered to Shin Tu, "See, this brother is still quite quick-witted." The divine tiger quietly got up and slipped into the gates of hell. Shin Tu Yulei glanced at him and ignored him. Although the divine tiger was gluttonous, it still knew what was good for it. It never touched people that Shin Tu Yulei did not allow it to touch. Now, it was probably going to catch a few big ghosts to satisfy its hunger. The divine tiger slipped into the gates of hell and quietly put down the Monkey King on its back. The Monkey King climbed down from the divine tiger, scratched its orange fur, and said to it, "I have to thank you again this time. Next time, I'll bring you more blood food from the human world. You have to save the peaches from the ghost peach tree for me." The divine tiger nodded its big head and nudged the Monkey King. It jumped a few steps back and then looked back at the Monkey King. The Monkey King nodded, indicating that it remembered everything. Then, it ran towards the direction of hell without looking back. Wu Xing, Xue Tu, and the others passed through the gates of hell, where it was pitch black. The underworld was formerly known as Yudu City, and as the name suggested, it was a place without light. Before reincarnation began, the ghosts crowded in Yudu City, devouring each other. They were extremely hungry and pitiful. Only when it was dark could they break into the human world and devour humans. When Empress Hutu saw this, she pitied the living beings of the world of the living and the ghosts of Yudu City. She sent Earth Count into Yudu City to establish order and sent Shin Tu Yulei to guard the gates of hell to prevent the ghosts of Yudu City from going to the world of the living to devour humans. Finally, in order to reduce the pain of all living beings after death, and to give their souls a home to return to, Empress Hutu sacrificed herself to create reincarnation, opening the end of death for all living beings. The reincarnation opened up a quiet, warm, and tranquil home for the souls of all living beings. It was no longer like the time in Yudu City where the ghosts could only devour each other and suffer constant torture until their souls were destroyed. Yuan Yu and the others hadn't even walked halfway when they saw the Monkey King waiting in front of them. They instantly felt that the seventh great sage of the demon race was incomparably mysterious. He could even sneak into the gates of hell without being discovered by the two great gods guarding the gate. Chapter 13-14. In the netherworld, rumors spread the fastest. The continuous mountain range was barren. In the dark and lightless netherworld, blood-red magma seeped through the cracks in these barren mountains. The magma emitted a dark red glow, illuminating a weak light. The ground beneath their feet was charred black. After walking for a while, the group realized that the netherworld wasn't completely desolate and silent. A black river meandered through the mountains. Strange blood-red flowers bloomed on both sides of the river. These strange blood-red flowers glowed faintly. The light from each flower wasn't dazzling, but when they gathered together, they formed a blood-red river that was formed from a sea of flowers along the two sides of the black river. The water of this river is the blue sky underworld, Xue Tu King said faintly. The blooming flowers on both sides are the red spider lilies. The blue sky underworld has a strange purifying ability. Can wash away almost all filth. Anything that falls into it will be assimilated by the blue sky underworld. Therefore, don't underestimate this river because it looks inconspicuous. In fact, it's extremely dangerous. This river formed by the convergence of the blue sky underworld and meandering through more than half of the netherworld is the river Styx. The river Styx Patriarch's river Styx. Ajati warned solemnly, the purifying power of the blue sky underworld can purify the world's most complicated, filthiest, and stubborn entanglements. In other words, the karma of all living beings, love, hate, and the 8 sufferings of the human world. Everything that falls into it will be forgotten and purified, returning to the purest form of living beings. In the demon ancestor's imagination, reincarnation shouldn't exist in the world. There should only be the river Styx and the Aeon soil. When the souls of all living beings fall into the river Styx, under the cleansing of the blue sky underworld, all karma will be washed away, returning to the purest essence of the soul. Then, they will sleep in the Aeon soil, slowly decomposing, nurturing, and being reborn. Their memories, love and hate, karma, and all their unwillingness flowed away with the heaven underworld. Those unforgettable things, those feelings of love and hate nourished the spider lilies by the shore, becoming the most beautiful scenery in the world. In Demon Ancestor's personal notes, it was mentioned that at that time, what Demon Ancestor wanted the most was to cross the ocean and experience all the love and hate in the world. Then, he would step into the river Styx and let it slowly fade away. It's a pity that Empress Hoodoo doesn't appreciate Demon Ancestor's way of thinking, so the river Styx that Demon Ancestor opened up became something that cleanses the karma of the souls that come here. After all, Empress Hoodoo is a god. She takes too much pity on the fear of death that all living beings have towards death. Unable to withstand the devout prayers of all living beings, she creates an afterlife for them. In the end, he fell out with Demon Ancestor and established samsara. What a pity! In the beginning, what Empress Hoodoo wanted was to create a peaceful and tranquil place for all living beings, a beautiful dreamland. In Empress Hoodoo's view, death should be like returning home to sleep, beautiful and tranquil, the warmest thing in the world. But unfortunately, all living beings are unable to escape the fear of death. For the sake of all living beings, Empress Hoodoo defeated the demons that were born out of their fear, the gods that want to enslave the souls of all living beings. In a distant, indescribable era, Empress Hoodoo doesn't represent death or the ownership of souls. She is only an earth god, the mother of the earth that nurtures all living beings. It's precisely because she takes pity on all living beings that she kills a group of demons that symbolize death and defeats the great horror, darkness, and strangeness of the evil gods and demons. She then defeats a group of gods that want to use the fear of death of all living beings to enslave their souls and establish so-called divine kingdoms and heavens. She cleans up the chaotic Udacity that is filled with lonely souls and wild ghosts, creating a peaceful, eternal, and tranquil home for all living beings. The Demon Ancestor admires this very much. Originally, the Demon Ancestor was willing to help Empress Hoodoo create such a home for souls. The Demon Ancestor believes that such death is definitely the supreme joy of all living beings. Unfortunately, Empress Hoodoo is a god. Her compassion and love for all living beings ultimately limits her. All living beings are too afraid of death. Day and night they pray to Empress Hoodoo to continue living. Their fear doesn't disappear in that peaceful darkness. Instead, it's their fear that constantly breeds the gods and demons in the darkness. Udacity constantly gives birth to those extremely twisted and evil demons that disturb the soul's sleep. Although a group of Aeon gods helps Empress Hoodoo clean up these demons and gods, the Empress still chooses to understand the fear of all living beings. Therefore, the Empress created reincarnation, creating an afterlife for all living beings. The Demon Ancestor is exasperated that reincarnation doesn't live up to his expectations. He believes that reincarnation is completely destroying that beautiful and peaceful world after death. Therefore, he angrily barges into the netherworld and arrives before reincarnation. He questions reincarnation with 9 questions. This is the netherworld's 9 questions. This is the story of the river Styx and the red spider lilies. Then, reincarnation constantly changes and is constantly distorted. The demon ancestor and Empress Hutu both want to give the souls of all living beings a peaceful home, but in order to continue living, all living beings choose to be toyed with. Therefore, reincarnation is constantly distorted, filled with restlessness, self-righteous morals, restless interests, and eternal greed. In the end, the demon ancestor despises this place. His will no longer flows along the river Styx on the netherworld's Een soil. His will returns to the blood sea, coldly watching everything that happens in reincarnation. Its laughable, noisy, restless, chaotic farce. Until one day, he can no longer watch this farce. He sweeps through everything and destroys the underworld. The Shwe-Tu king faintly recounted the ancient story passed down by the fiends. As he waited for something, Ajati knelt beside the river Styx and chanted something in obscure demonic language. The ancient and obscure language matched with a profound rhythm. It was as if it was a poem and funeral oration from the most ancient era. The voice of the story and the funeral oration intertwined, as if it touched upon the laws of the underworld. It made Bai Sujan's hair stand on end as she listened. She was alarmed. She subconsciously hugged the shepherd boy lord's thin body tightly. She looked at the two fiendish dowlords with some fear, and slight excitement. She was afraid because of the prophecy that the demon ancestor would easily destroy the underworld. She was excited because she knew the shocking secrets of the two important figures, Empress Hutu and the river Styx, demon ancestor. Although she did not know if these ancient stories were the bragging of the fiends, or if they were ancient and unknown history. But Bai Sujan still looked forward to it and was excited. As the demonic language from Ajati's mouth became deeper, the river Styx also began to fluctuate abnormally. The Monkey King waited impatiently by the side before a small boat floated over from upstream. Bai Sujan was so nervous that she nearly suffocated. The taboo of the underworld, the river Styx that flowed with the most mysterious of the Kane true water, the blue sky underworld, actually had a small boat floating over. How terrifying and strange was this! No one could cross the river Styx. Even the underworld needed the Khanate numinous treasure, the bridge of helplessness, to cross the river Styx. No evil spirit or demon god dared to fall into the offending river Styx. It symbolized the laws of the underworld. On the ancient river Styx, accompanied by the ancient demonic language, an unmanned boat floated over from upstream. The two direct descendants of the fiends used the most ancient funeral oration to summon a mysterious boat. They wanted to use it to enter the cycle of reincarnation. This was the most unspeakable taboo of the netherworld. This would become a legend. Goku leaped lightly and stepped onto the boat. He reached out and grabbed a handful of black coins from his body and pressed them into the wooden stake on the bow of the boat. Upon closer inspection, there was a thin slit on it, which seemed to be used to insert coins. What are you looking at? 2 coins for boarding the boat, 10 coins for crossing the bridge of helplessness. Pay for it yourself. Bai Sujan's eyes widened instantly. Do you have coins? Shwe-Tu and Wu Xing exchanged a look and thought to themselves, this guy is really not simple. He is so familiar with the river Styx ferry. He is even more familiar with it than us. Shwe-Tu also boarded the boat. He stuffed a few black coins into Wu Xing's hands and explained to Bai Sujan behind him, this is the virtue coin. You only need to meditate and you will be able to trigger a trace of the virtue aura in your body. With the help of the heavenly Tao of the netherworld, you will be able to condense this kind of virtue coin. The virtue coin is the best currency of the underworld. It can be used to accumulate merits to become a deity. It is the only way to resurrect the underworld. Therefore, it is the currency issued by the heavenly court. Next is the incense money. It is condensed from the wishes of all living beings. It also has endless uses, especially in the hands of deities. It is considered a hard currency. Apart from that, there is also the blessing coin issued by the Buddhist League, the super coin issued by the Mystic Door, and the Een coin that is used as a small currency among ghosts. Don't be greedy for these coins, they are useless. Especially the Een coin. It is just a little bit of wishes and condensed from Een chi. Ghosts can use it to fill their stomachs. The Monkey King shook his head and said, "The Blessing Coin and Super Coin issued by the Buddhist League and the Mystic Door are not used by their own families. There are only two big banks that operate them. One is Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, and the other is Tai Nirvana. Needless to say, these two kinds of coins are issued by them. This is the good thing about the demonic path. They do not engage in any financial innovation. They use the Een coin honestly. The products of the Emperor of Heaven are used as hard currency and do not depreciate. There are some small deities and small forces behind the Mystic Door and the Buddhist League. They also engage in financial innovation. In the end, the previous batch of ghosts often fail before they can reincarnate. These people who engage in the coin circle have ruined the reputation of the underworld money method. The new ghosts who have come down now all say that inflation is very high. Actually, the underworld money method is still very promising. I am going to use the big peach tree on Een Mountain as the capital to issue the underworld money method. I have calculated that the big peach tree can bear 3,000 peaches every year. It is very beneficial to the ghosts and deities. However, because Shinto Yulei is guarding it, and there is a divine tiger under the tree that feeds on ghosts, no ghosts can eat it. But I have a way to get that batch of peaches. I am going to use that as the capital to borrow a batch of incense from the Heavenly Lord of Primordial Unity and Salvation to operate my Monkey King coin. How about it? Are the few of you interested? Peaches as collateral? Shue Tu shook his head like a wheel as he secretly cursed, "This isn't a monkey. What's the use of peaches as collateral?" Bai Sujin also had a look of politeness as she whispered, "Great sage, I'm not dead yet. I can slowly accumulate the money of the underworld in the world of the living. Only a ghost would speculate in money." Yuan Yu sneered and said, "You should sell your Monkey King coin to a ghost. If you can scam a ghost, then so be it." Shepherd Boy lay on the bow of the boat as he watched the boat sail past the Black Mountains along the River Styx. Gradually, it entered the plains of the underworld. There were many villages that were scattered along the banks of the River Styx. However, the ghosts seemed to be afraid of the River Styx. Although the villages were close to the banks, the ghosts did not dare to approach the sea of spider lilies. Shepherd Boy could only see the faint shadows from afar. As the boat went deeper, more and more strange ghosts appeared in front of them. There were small blue ghosts that only reached a human's calf. There were ghosts with horns on their heads. As more and more ghosts appeared, there were those with leopard tails, bird beaks, fish gills, and those that looked like wasps. There were also large ghosts with green faces and fangs, ghosts that looked like mountain spirits, and mountain ghosts that looked like scarlet raccoons. There were also those with cow heads and horse faces. They were half human and half beast with bald hair and fangs. They were extremely strange and strange. Shepherd Boy exclaimed, "Are these all ghosts? I thought ghosts were the same as when they were alive." Shue Tu King shook his head and said, "They are ghosts. They are living beings of the underworld, not souls." "There are living beings in the underworld?" Bai Sujin was taken aback. She felt that the creatures of the underworld sounded odd. It was previously mentioned that the fear of death of the souls of living beings created twisted monsters in the darkness of Yudu City. These living beings are the descendants of the souls and monsters. In the end, it is something created by the demon ancestor. It involves one of the 9 questions of the netherworld. When the demon ancestor and Her Majesty Hudu discussed the Tao, they used monsters and dead spirits to create living beings that could reproduce in the underworld. Her Majesty Hutu could not bear to seal them in the realm of freedom, so she allowed them to reproduce in the underworld. In the end, it became a world of ghosts. Thankfully, although they have long lifespans, they only have Een lifespans and not Yang lifespans. Furthermore, their reproductive abilities are extremely poor. So at least they did not overrun the place. Chapter 13-15. It's really lively, Shepherd Boy praised. It doesn't seem bad to die here. The environment is quite good. Baisujan and company took the small boat deeper into the underworld. Along the way, the river Styx converged into tributaries. The river became wider and wider, and gradually, it was tens of thousands of miles wide. A small boat with a black awning was in the middle of the river Styx. On the surging water, it was like a lone sail that had fallen into the Yangtze River. It had a feeling that it could capsize at any time. Baisujan became more and more alarmed. The river Styx surged with unbelievably vast divine might. She saw extremely powerful souls being swept in from the river Styx from time to time. Then, a few waves would wash them into the purest souls without any impurities. From time to time, tributaries of the river Styx would flow into the main stream that they were on. The surging was the purest and most powerful force in the world. It made Baisujan's heart palpitate. She was a tiny white snake, but she had the qualities of a flood dragon. She could move the water. However, in front of one of the three largest rivers in the world, Baisujan could only feel how tiny she was. Along the way, they saw that there were countless dead spirits and living beings mixed in the underworld. The ghosts that did not enter the cycle of reincarnation and the ghosts of the underworld lived together. They built countless ghost cities. There were also countless shadows cast by the divine territories of the Yang realm on the Yin land. Many of the treasured lands where the Qi of the primordial world gathered also cast their shadows on the Yin lands. These spiritual lands in the divine territories were also known as Blessed Land. The gods Dharmakaya sat in the middle of the Blessed Land. From time to time, the god would stare at the small boat that Baisujan was on. They also saw countless powerful ghosts stirring up havoc. Many powerful ghosts that made even their hearts palpitate were fighting each other. Along the way, they saw peaceful ghost villages and chaotic ghosts fighting each other. They saw these things from time to time. Shepherd Boy was somewhat puzzled. Monkey King seemed to notice his puzzlement. Why? Do you think it's different from the netherworld you imagined? Shepherd Boy nodded his head in embarrassment. Monkey King sighed. The primordial world is too big. Even the heavenly courts can't manage it. How many years will it take for the Milky Way Navy to patrol the primordial world? The netherworld was not inferior to the untainted world, so how could the underworld manage it? Although some people call this the netherworld, as if they can see the netherworld once they enter. What a joke! How many people in the primordial world have seen the heavenly courts before? Of course it's the same for the underworld. Reincarnation has its own rules. Reincarnation is at the bottom of the sea where the river Styx converges. Therefore, as long as the souls of the primeval times are thrown into the river Styx, they will naturally be washed clean and enter reincarnation. When Queen Huta ruled the netherworld, the river Styx was responsible for transporting souls from the primordial world to samsara. At that time, after the people of the primordial world died, their souls were led by the river Styx and fell into the river, floating in the blue sky underworld. The spider lilies on both sides of the river were countless times more beautiful than they are now. After that, at that time, the gates of hell were a path for the living beings that entered the netherworld. The souls of the dead were guided by the river Styx. Later, the Emperor of Heaven merged the netherworld into the heavenly courts. He created the road to the netherworld and snatched the souls of all living beings from the guidance of the river Styx. He perfected the authority of the netherworld and brought the death of all living beings under the rule of the heavenly courts. Of course, it cannot be said that the Emperor of Heaven had selfish motive, because in the beginning, the netherworld was indeed selfless in managing the matter of samsara. It was also at that time that the netherworld became like a world. The Emperor of Heaven was benevolent. He allowed those who died to enjoy 100 times longer lifespan in the netherworld. The heavenly courts lacked talents to manage the primordial world. The Emperor of Heaven used the merit dharma to promote the candidates of God from the ghosts as the foundation for the heavenly courts to rule the primordial world. Without the road to the netherworld and the souls of all living beings as talent reserves, the heavenly courts would never be able to stabilize their foundation. In the beginning, the heavenly courts lacked talents to the point that the Emperor of Heaven had no choice but to allow those who did not have enough merit to temporarily serve as temporary gods in the netherworld. They waited for their descendants to accumulate merit for them before promoting them to the heavenly courts. At that time, although the netherworld had broken away from the natural operation of the river Styx and reincarnation, and the orbit that the demon ancestor of the river Styx and goddess Hoodoo had set for it, it still operated stably and maintained its orbit. That was the general trend of the Emperor of Heaven stripping the local authority, and the heavenly courts collecting the authority of the primordial world. I can't complain. However, after the Emperor of Heaven merged with the Tao, the merit dharma was flawed. The heavenly courts were in chaos, and most of the laws set by the Emperor of Heaven were abolished. There were flaws in the road to the netherworld that led the souls of all living beings and the bridge of helplessness that crossed the river Styx. Many powerful and unruly souls broke free from the road to the netherworld and escaped into the vast netherworld. The heavenly courts also gradually placed layers of procedures in the process of the soul reincarnation and expanded the divine authority. In turn, the divine authority seized the natural authority of all living beings to enter reincarnation and interfered with reincarnation. The establishment of hell intercepted the souls of those who had committed heinous crimes. In the name of settling the good and evil, it was actually to control the huge resources of sinful souls. The mystic door and the Buddhist sects all interfered. The laws of the netherworld became more and more complicated, and more forces interfered in the process of reincarnation. After the natural divine authority of the Patriarch of the river Styx and goddess Hoodoo was replaced by the centralized divine authority of the heavenly courts, it was then usurped by the parasites of the Buddhist sects of the mystic door, who were selfish and carried out the divine authority for the heavenly courts in name. In the end, the divine authority of the heavenly courts only existed in name. Now, the power of reincarnation in the netherworld is in the hands of the noble divine authority. The representative is Fengdu the Great, the master of the netherworld during the time of the Emperor Heaven. He was replaced by Yenluo of the Ten Halls, who was supported by the mystic door and the Buddhist sects. The Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva entered hell, and the Tai Nirvana Heavenly Lord entered hell. Both of them are like this. Although the two of them are powerful and noble, and I have nothing to say about their moral character, Monkey said with a smile, but they are people of noble character who carry out a large part of the reincarnation godly right on behalf of the heavenly court. I don't have to say too much about what it means. If they dared to interfere with reincarnation during the time of the Emperor Heaven, they would have been killed by the Emperor Heaven. But now, the Monkey King smiled and said, "The netherworld is so lively, how can it not be lively? On the Yellow Springs Road, there are often ghosts with profound cultivation base who break free and run to the vast netherworld to abuse their power. There are also the disciples of the Buddhist sects and the mystic door. After they die, there are Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva and the Tai Heavenly Lord of Salvation to take care of them. They don't go to reincarnation if they want to, but when they do, they still have to be picky. The evil ghosts are locked in hell, and Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva sends people there every day, causing countless evil ghosts to find an excuse to bail them out." The Shwe-Tu King also sighed and said, "The netherworld now can only barely operate, sending most of the souls of the insignificant living beings to reincarnation. Ghosts with a little magic power have the chance to escape from the system of the netherworld and run to the vast land of the netherworld, where they can achieve great things. For countless years, I don't know how many have escaped. Anyway, as long as they are worn down in the netherworld, it is another form of reincarnation, so it is not a big deal. Moreover, the reincarnation is controlled by the 10 halls Yenluo, and they can also reap benefits. Therefore, in the land of the netherworld, evil ghosts gather in groups, and ghost kings attack each other and fight wars. It is really not a rare thing. The netherworld is not smaller than the untainted land, and the strength of the netherworld is far inferior to the heavenly court, so they can't control it, so they just let them do whatever they want. Anyway, they can't cause any big trouble. The law of reincarnation is inscribed with the heavenly Tao, and there is no need for human intervention. The netherworld is originally a part of reincarnation. These ghosts are free in the Een Earth, but sooner or later they will be worn down by the Een Earth, or cleansed by the river Styx. Many ghosts are tired of living, so they find a tributary of the river Styx and jump into it. It is quite carefree. At this time, an angry roar came from afar. Devil bastard sneaks into the netherworld again to rob souls. Fellow Taoists passing by, please lend a helping hand. The netherworld will definitely reward you with Een merits. Bai Suzhen woke up with a start, and from afar, she saw two shadows flying with devil chi and laughing strangely. Their whole bodies were covered in netherworld ghost fire, and they were carrying thousands of ghosts as they fled in the direction of the river Styx. Behind them, an awe-inspiring golden-armored bull-head Een god led a group of ghost soldiers to chase after them. An old devil whose hair and beard were covered in green flames laughed strangely. Bullhead, how many Een merits do you need to capture us? How many years do you need to capture us to confer a small earth god? We, the devil path, are not to be trifled with. There is no benefit to be gained from doing such troublesome things. Who would be so insensible? Another old devil also laughed strangely and said, "Today, I'll take your 50,000 souls to refine into a treasure. My mystical Een soul-gathering flag needs 49 flags for a small formation, and each flag needs at least 5 million souls. Who knows, I'll have to trouble you again tomorrow, ha ha." The river Styx is right in front. The old devil covered in green flames said hoarsely, "If you continue to chase after us, you won't be able to gain anything. The devil path has the protection of the river Styx demon ancestor, and many of our supernatural powers and cultivation techniques contain the principles of the river Styx. When the time comes, we can borrow the divine power of the river Styx. If you accidentally fall into our hands, you will be washed clean and reincarnated, and half of your life's hard work will be wasted. It's not worth it." As expected, the bull-head celestial general did not dare to chase after them until they reached the sea of red spider lilies. He stopped and scolded, "Devil child, you are unpredictable. I heard rumors that 2 days ago, 2 direct descendants of the river Styx demon ancestor snuck into the netherworld, wanting to stir up trouble and destroy the netherworld. You guys might be their accomplices. How can I, bullhead celestial, sit back and watch? Capturing you guys will be a great merit. I will be promoted to a higher rank. You ran so fast today, but if I catch you next time, I'll definitely send you to the 18th level of hell." Blah blah blah. The old devil covered in black chi stuck out his tongue and made a face as he shook his butt. "There's someone above us in the devil path. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva is from my Azura clan. When the time comes, I'll kneel in front of Bodhisattva and become a good man again." "Your father." On the shore, the ox-head divine general was so angry that he was spitting white phosphorescence out of his nostrils. Bai Suzhen looked at the 2 old devils, who were laughing shamelessly with their hands on their hips. She then turned around to look at the Shui Tu king, who had been carelessly criticizing the underworld a moment ago. "It's like the underworld is playing with power, causing chaos in the world, and you demonic cultivators are stirring up trouble, burning, killing, and looting. The heavenly court might be quite arrogant, but your demonic path is already rotten to the point of oozing pus. It's better to support the heavenly court." The blood-soaked demon monarch awkwardly explained, "This is the style of our demonic path. It's like an evil poison. Those with strict laws that can't be exploited will only grow stronger. As for those that are rotten and broken, they need us to lend them a helping hand and thoroughly die. If it wasn't for the heavenly courts in action, the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva playing with power, and the underworld being in chaos, how could we demonic cultivators have had the chance to stir up trouble? The two old devils used magic on the shore of the river Styx to create a turbid stream of blood sea true water, and prepared to sneak into the blood sea. They saw a small boat swaying towards them. On the boat stood an expressionless, dark-skinned, burly man who reeked of blood. His eyes flickered with a bloody light as he looked at them. The two demons hurriedly went up and bowed, saying, "Greetings, Senior Blood Demon. Senior, are you using this ferry to plunder souls from the underworld?" "This time, we only got beast souls, not even 2 high-grade demon souls. When we get a batch of human souls with rich spirituality and emotions, we'll definitely give them to you. You too." The Shwetu King's eyes shone fiercely. He was just about to teach these two arrogant newbies a lesson for ruining the reputation of the demonic path. Then, he thought again. That's not right. What reputation do we, demonic cultivators, have? Isn't this how it should be? Is it wrong to plunder souls? Wrong. In the laws and order of the heavenly court, it was a huge mistake. They were just criticizing the heavenly court, and in the blink of an eye, someone was plundering souls. It was like criticizing the government for being muddle-headed and incompetent, and in the blink of an eye, there were 2 accomplices blocking the way, but they were demonic cultivators. Wasn't this what they were doing? They, the demonic cultivators, had never thought of competing for the business of the heavenly court. It was like a group of bandits criticizing the government and then blocking the way to rob, burn, and kill. Was that wrong? It was their job. It wasn't like they were preparing to rebel. The Shwetu King came to his senses. He had been acting as a righteous cultivator for too long, and he was still in a daze. After he came to his senses, he patted the shoulders of the 2 rising stars of the demonic path and said, "Well done. I admire you. I have something good for you. I will bring you 2 to do something big. Go to the bridge of helplessness and force the tens of millions of souls that he brewed. If the underworld isn't prepared, we will go to hell and do something big." Bai Sujin's expression changed drastically. She pulled on the sleeve of the Monkey King and said, "Great sage, this person has finally revealed his true colors. Saving Prince Mu was an act, plundering the underworld is the real thing." The Monkey King pulled the Shwetu over and said, "What do you think? Tell her." The Shwetu King scratched his head and laughed coldly. "Of course I know that business is more important. Don't we have 2 helpers? When the time comes, we can let the 2 of them create chaos, and it will be more convenient for us to act. Even if the situation is not good, we will have someone to back us up. Moreover, after they are captured, they will mislead the underworld so that they won't know what we are here for." Did you hear that? The 2 guarding the gates of hell didn't say anything and leaked our information. Now we have to make sure that it is the demonic path that is stirring up trouble. Otherwise, when the information about Prince Mu is leaked, we will be in real trouble. At that time, Imperial Emperor Ziyang's faction in the underworld, as well as the demon race, the Buddhist sect, and the mystic door will all come for us. Yuan Yu said faintly, "When we saw Shintu and Yulei, we should know that they don't keep their mouths shut." The Ajati thought for a moment and sighed. "That's true. When we came, we heard them saying everything. Something about the Emperor of Heaven, something about the old ancestor tying them to a tree. How could such people be sent by the Empress to guard the gates? Could it be that the Empress gave the order in Yudu City? It's so dark that I can't see what kind of people they are. In any case, Shintu and Yulei have talked a lot of nonsense. Instead of letting them talk about Prince Mu, it is better to pretend that they are from the demonic path. In any case, the Blood Sea is very close to the netherworld, and the underworld has long been accustomed to the demonic path coming here to burn, kill, and loot." Recently, 90% of the Blood Sea Azura clan's newborn population was transformed from the souls of those he brewed and robbed. Yuan Yu said calmly, "Can't you call more people? This amount of cannon fodder is not enough. There is no time for me to find people now. Let's just take one." Xue Tu's face showed no shame, and he didn't feel guilty at all for tricking his fellow demonic path disciples. Even if he admired these two daring demonic path rookies, it didn't prevent Xue Tu from using them. Even the two demons, although their eyes showed suspicion, didn't object. According to the tradition of the demonic path, one set on the surface, another set behind the scenes. Whichever set they played, they played. Now, the two demonic path rookies obviously couldn't play hard, so no matter what Xue Tu said on the surface, they could only obey. Bai Suzhen, who was listening on the side, looked like she was on the verge of collapse. It seemed that she had underestimated the demonic path's moral integrity, which was really unfathomable. Chapter 13-16. Monkey King steered the boat for a long time. More and more tributaries of the river Styx converged together in the netherworld, and the boat soon reached the main branch of the river Styx. The river was vast and boundless, like a vast ocean. The blue sky yellow springs that flowed through the river were yellow in color, like turbid water. This turbid sea was boundless, and occasionally, one could see the remains of giant demons and gods floating in the river. The remains of these demons and gods were exposed in the river, like small islands in the middle of the river Styx. Many rusted swords, spears, and halberds were inserted into the remains of these demons and gods, their luster darkening to black iron. They had long since lost their former sharpness, but the occasional murderous aura they exuded was truly awe-inspiring. Monkey King steered the boat through these tattered corpses, most of them rusted to the point where only bones remained. Bai Suzhen looked up at these demons and gods whose heads were as large as mountains, and the shocking scars on their immortal bodies. She couldn't help feeling a little absent-minded. Xue Tu said solemnly, "The water of the river Styx and the blue sky yellow springs can purify everything, but they can't purify the corpses of these dead demons and gods. It's hard to imagine how powerful they were when they were alive." Monkey King steered the boat past a demon god whose upper body was exposed to the river. Its head had been smashed to pieces, but its headless body was still in a struggling posture. This demon god was much taller than the other corpses, even taller than Xin Tu and Yu Lei. The water of the river Styx slammed into its body, causing its broad shoulders to hang down, creating huge waves in the middle of the river Styx. This section of the river was the most turbulent. Monkey King casually inserted the iron rod on his shoulder into the side of the boat, stabilizing the boat. Only then did the crowd, who were a little nervous from the rocking of the boat, calm down. They turned back to look at the god-fiend. The head of the god was smashed, only his broad shoulders could be seen. Xue Tu stood at the stern of the ship and studied the god's corpse. Although the corpse was the best preserved on the battlefield, it was still corroded by the yellow sky springs. Xue Tu couldn't help but shake his head as he imagined the god's posture before he died. When this god was facing the enemy, his entire body was mobilized, all his arms were placed in front of his chest, and he held the Vajra scepter, roaring at the enemy. The vigor and vitality of the god and devil body can even affect the flow of river Styx. It's a pity that Heaven Underworld has rewritten too many traces. Even the shocking battle spirit of that battle has been washed away. If not for the fact that my connate godfiend body has inherited some of the Chaos Godfiend's wonders, and the sky yellow springs is more targeted at the essence soul and soul. These gods' corpses are already cleansed. Xue Tu sighed. This god was definitely unyielding at the last moment. He was facing the direction with the most gods' corpses. I noticed that many of the gods' corpses along the way were killed by heavy weapons, some even had half of their bodies shattered. There must be a god wielding a heavy weapon, perhaps a hammer, that killed countless gods along the way. How many innate gods were killed by him? He slaughtered his way to this god. This god was the strongest on the battlefield, possibly the leader of these gods. He roared at the enemy that slaughtered his subordinates and struck with all his might. But before he could unleash the strike, his chest was blasted open. Look, he should have 8 arms, each holding a weapon. The most powerful weapon is a 2-handed halberd, and there are also copper rings, vajra pestle, and round shield. His 8 arms are facing in all directions, but they are all gathered in front of his chest. All the blood, energy, and divine power in his body are mobilized, and his entire body's power is condensed into a single entity, ready to unleash a shocking attack. If his body was still intact, I might be able to cultivate a powerful skill by visualizing his image before he died. When his power was completely condensed and mobilized, his arm was like an iron wall. In the next instant, all 8 of his arms struck out at the same time. This fiend god's martial arts and physical body have been tempered to the peak realm. At this moment, his aura and power have also reached the peak. With rage and unwillingness, he struck out with all his might. Unfortunately, the divine being standing in front of him only used one strike to violently shatter all the power he had gathered. His entire stance was shattered, so when the next strike arrived, the god-fiend was unable to resist at all and his head was smashed to smithereens. What a powerful weapon! This god's head must be the hardest part of his body. In front of that weapon, it was crushed like tofu. Not even the hardest part of his skull was left. The marks of the weapon show that it was a heavy blunt weapon. A god who used such a blunt weapon shouldn't be unknown. Was it a lance or a hammer? The Shwe-Tu king lowered his head and pondered. This battle seems to have been recorded in the demonic path, but it's very vague. It seems like it happened before the river Styx flowed here, and before reincarnation was opened. That was the most ancient era of the primordial world, probably not long after the calamity of Luo. The era where the witchcraft and the demon race dominated the primordial world. But what was the weapon that crushed the god's head? The Shwe-Tu king lowered his head and pondered. Unknowingly, the Monkey King came to his side and stared at the dead god. Bai Suzhen felt an indescribable feeling from his gaze, as if he had traveled through time. The Monkey King held the Jingu Bang in his hand and turned to the Shwe-Tu king. Doesn't it look like an iron rod? An iron rod, yes, a rod. The weapon that crushed the god's head should be a rod. The head of the rod shook off the god's defense and broke his stance. Then, the tail of the rod swung and crushed the god's head. The Shwe-Tu king was enlightened when he got the hint. He also remembered some extremely obscure records of the bloodline. He said with a trembling voice, "I know who this god is. He's Luo Qian Tua, a Grand Azura. Luo is demon ancestors' best subordinate. This battlefield of gods and demons was the battlefield where River Styx demon ancestor cleansed the Azura tribe that betrayed the Blood Sea. These gods and demons were all Grand Azuras. Luo took away the Azuras born from the Blood Sea and caused the calamity of Luo. After the calamity of Luo was defeated, the remnants of Luo's old subordinates prepared to invade the Blood Sea and occupy it. River Styx ancestor led the Sky Demon and Blood Demon tribes to defeat Luo at the Blood Sea. In that battle, Luo's bravest subordinate, King Luo Qiantua, led the best Grand Azura army but didn't make it. Rumor has it that they were ambushed by River Styx ancestors' troops near the Blood Sea. I didn't expect it to be in Yuta City. The ruins of this battlefield were later submerged by the main stem of the Styx River. Because the Styx River is incomparably wide, it's impossible to reach the center of the river without a ferry. Thus, the ruins of the battlefield of gods and demons are hard to discover. Until we passed by it today. No wonder the Blood Demon Path has vague records. Only we, the direct descendants of the Demon Path, who can summon the ferry of the river Styx, can find this place. Bai Suzhen looked at the battlefield of gods and demons that was gradually getting further away. The headless body of King Luo Qian Tua could still be vaguely seen, towering into the dark sky of Yudu City. Its broad shoulders were like mountains. The loud sound of the river Styx surging was like the last battle cry of the grand Azura king. Baisujan said in shock, "The might of the ancient gods and demons is really indescribable." Which senior of the demon path was the one who killed King Luoqian To on behalf of the river Styx ancestor? Ajati also said emotionally, "There are many crouching tigers and hidden dragons in the prehistoric times. The matters of the ancient times are even more mysterious. Although we have some foundation because of the forces we come from and know some secrets that are not known to others, it is nonsense to say that we know about the ancient times. Not to mention the ancient times, even now, even the current heavenly court, how much do we know?" Not long after, even Yuan Yu raised his hand to interrupt Wu Xing's emotional words. He secretly glanced at the Monkey King and muttered in his heart, but temporarily put aside his doubts and said in a low voice, "There are countless secrets in the demon path, and everyone's style is more secretive. The mystic door has a name, and there are many mighty people who know about its origins. How many demon paths are there? Who knows? Let's not talk about the others. The blood demon path and the killing demon path. The founder of the killing demon path is the sword of the river Styx ancestor, Yuantu. The founder of the blood demon path is the blood sea incarnation of the river Styx ancestor, and the treasure of the sect is the blood sea red lotus. But if I ask you to name the number of patriarchs Dara, can you name them?" Ajati and the Shui Tu king both fell silent. "Let's not talk about the others," Yuan Yu said with his hands behind his back. "How many people in the demon path know about your real name and origin, Ajati? And you, the Shui Tu king, no one knows about your background, right? Leader, you used to be the leader of the lifeless sect, and no one knows who Ajati is now, but it's definitely not your turn." Ajati smiled slightly. "A name is just a form of address. How can you not see through this, fellow Taoist Zhengyangzi?" Yuan Yu knew that he was reminding him of his complicated hidden identity. Everyone was the eldest brother, so don't laugh at the second brother. He was Zhang Jiao of the Path of Peace, and even if any rogue cultivator in the sky-bearing grand meeting had seen him once, even if they had not, he could still pass down his name, and let everyone know that there was another Zhang Jiao in the Path of Peace, and even in the untainted land. But what about them? Apart from Fan Wujie, even Prince Mu and Bai Suzhen, who had traveled with them and had a good relationship with them, did not know their identities. The lifeless cult master, the blood-slaughtering demon monarch, and Zhengyangzi, even if they had done something earth-shattering like reading books at midnight. The rogue cultivators Shan Xing, Zhengyangzi, and Pao Tu broke into the samsara and committed a heinous crime in the untainted land. What did this have to do with them? What did Yin Yang Demon Master have to do with Zhengyangzi? What did he have to do with Heavenly Lord Yuanyu of the Mystic Door? What did he have to do with the leader of the beauty sect, the Immortal Three Poisons? How many leaders of the lifeless cult? What did Ajati do in the untainted land, and what did he have to do with Ajati in the Age of Heavens? And him, the Shui Tu king, they could only sigh awkwardly. We, the Devil Path, have hidden so deeply. The Monkey King nibbled on the ghost peach given by Shenhu, and secretly despised them. It was you guys who hid your heads and showed your tails. Don't push everything to the Devil Path. I, the Monkey King, will never change my name. When he attacked and killed Luo Qiantua that day, Sun Wukong had indeed not changed his appearance. Moreover, he had openly introduced himself. He was a disciple of the immeasurable Heavenly Lord, the great sage equal to heaven, Sun Wukong. The reason why he did not leave his name in the historical records that year was a mystery to the later generations. Of course, it was because those who knew his name that day were all killed by him. Even Luo Qiantua was captured by the innate inextinguishable divine light, and was forced to become a primordial spiritual treasure in the hands of the river Styx. The Monkey King steered the boat and gradually entered the most prosperous place in the netherworld. Here, countless tributaries of the river Styx converge to form the largest main branch of the river Styx in the netherworld. It has a new name, called the River of Forgetfulness. Baisujan stood up and saw a vague bridge in the distance. It crossed the entire main branch of the river Styx, and the huge river Styx was like a small stream. It was the famous Bridge of Forgetfulness in the netherworld, and even in the untainted land, and even in the past and future. On one side of the Bridge of Forgetfulness was the Yellow Springs Road that led to the untainted land. Countless souls and ghosts came from the Yellow Springs Road, crossed the Bridge of Forgetfulness, and headed to the Mansion of the Dead on the other side. The 10 halls of the netherworld, the 6 heavenly palaces of Bane, and even the 18 levels of Hell, the ancient city of Edu, and Howley were all there. Ghosts came from the Yellow Springs Road, crossed the Bridge of Forgetfulness, and headed to the Mansion of the Dead to be judged. The Bridge of Forgetfulness was the first barrier to the Mansion of the Dead. Because other than the Bridge of Forgetfulness, there was no other way to cross the River of Forgetfulness, unless one used the secret of the river Styx to summon the fairy. The 2 old devils who had been captured as cannon fodder looked at the Bridge of Helplessness and the queue of souls that stretched to the end like a long dragon. They kept rubbing their hands excitedly, eager to give it a try and do something. Shui Tu and Yuan Yu frowned because they saw the Bridge of Forgetfulness step into the void. The main branch of the river Styx, the River of Forgetfulness, was no longer a river that flowed on the land of the netherworld. It was a river that had no boundary, or rather, no riverbank. As the tributaries of the river Styx in the netherworld converged towards the River of Forgetfulness, they seemed to flow towards the endless darkness above the land of the netherworld. It could be seen as a river Styx that converged on the land and flowed towards the sky, perpendicular to the netherworld. Its shore was the entire land of the netherworld, and its other shore was in the endless darkness. It had no actual riverbank, so only the Bridge of Forgetfulness could cross it and connect the netherworld and the Mansion of the Dead. The Monkey King shook his head and said, "If one could sneak into the Mansion of the Dead from the netherworld by flying over the River of Forgetfulness, then wouldn't it be easy to escape from some of the ancient gods and devils imprisoned in the Mansion of the Dead, as well as the evil gods and devils that Goddess Huda killed back then, the ancient evil gods that represented death, the monsters that were born from the fear of all living beings, and some indescribable evils? Since the creation of the world in Uda City, wouldn't they be able to escape easily? Along the way, it was just where the netherworld was. It was the een side of the untainted land, the een soil of the earth's reflection. Although it was eerie, it wasn't completely dark. The complete darkness above the netherworld was Udu City. It was the place where Goddess Hutu created the reincarnation later on. Above the netherworld was Udu City, and below it was the Blood Sea. The river Styx that flowed on the een soil of the netherworld flowed from the untainted land. A part of the river Styx flowed into the netherworld, into the Blood Sea behind it, and the other part flowed into the River of Forgetfulness and entered Udu City. After the people in the untainted land died, their souls would be guided by the river Styx underground, flowing into the een soil of the netherworld, and then converging into the River of Forgetfulness, flowing into the darkest Uda City and into the reincarnation. Therefore, the Mansion of the Dead was actually made up of 3 parts: the een soil of the netherworld, the Blood Sea River Styx, and the Mansion of Udu City. The river Styx connects these 3 parts. We have to cross the Bridge of Helplessness to reach the Mansion of the Dead. If we follow the River of Forgetfulness, we will only enter the darkness of Udu City. The darkness of Udu City has no direction. There are many terrifying existences that have been hiding in the darkness of Udu City since the beginning of the world. There is no chance of survival if we enter, Monkey King explained. When the time comes, it will be darkness above the River of Forgetfulness, and reincarnation below it. The existence of the Mansion of the Dead and the river Styx is extremely profound. It is not something that can be understood in a short period of time. Udu City, the netherworld, the Blood Sea, and the river Styx connect the three, transcending ordinary spacetime. Shui and company had some understanding of the river Styx. They knew that what Monkey King said was true, so they could only obediently prepare to disembark. As for Bai Sujan and Shepherd Boy, they could not figure out the mysteries behind it. However, they knew that the Mansion of the Dead was an important land of reincarnation. It was not easy to infiltrate it. It was common sense to cross the bridge of helplessness to enter the Mansion of the Dead. What Monkey King did not mention was that it was not completely impossible for fairies to enter the Mansion of the Dead. However, the river Styx had an agreement with Hutu. Unless a ferryman steered the boat, there was no way to enter the Mansion of the Dead through the river Styx. Monkey King could not be bothered to summon the ferryman, so he decided to take the Bridge of Helplessness. It was difficult to distinguish time in the netherworld, but on the Bridge of Helplessness, Bai Sujan was horrified to see many familiar faces. Some of the vegetation demon spirits had followed the Een spirits of the guides across the bridge in a daze. Some of them were already in a daze, but some were still able to maintain a sliver of lucidity. An old deer-headed demon spirit saw Bai Sujan. He suddenly sobered up and turned his head. "Is it Mistress White? Were you harmed by the heavenly courts as well?" Mistress White. A vegetation demon spirit's soul looked up and called out to her. It was in the form of a child. He called out, "The Milky Way Navy has killed many demons. 100 Grass Mountain has been destroyed by the heavenly fire. Even the mountain goddess, 100 Grass Goddess, could not protect us. They said that you killed a prince of the heavenly courts. So many demon spirits have died. Even the human race has been implicated." Mistress White. A series of shouts rang out. Countless indistinct souls appeared. They were all kinds of demon beasts and spirits in the mountains. The countless shouts made Bai Sujan unable to control herself. She was at a loss and could not defend herself. "Bai Sujan, you have caused our deaths. Bai Sujan, return my life." Many demon spirits cursed. The countless demon spirits and souls on the Bridge of Helplessness became restless. The long queue of ghosts was instantly thrown into chaos. The guide flew over from the front and fiercely scolded, "What are you shouting for? What are you shouting for? You're already dead. Do you still want to rebel? Behave yourself." With a wave of the whip in his hand, thousands of ghosts were simultaneously whipped by a black gas. They screamed miserably and fell into a daze. A few guide messengers reorganized the order before returning to deal with Bai Sujan and her group. When he saw Bai Sujan, he was given a fright because the white-dressed woman had tears streaming down her face. She looked dejected. One of the guide messengers used his Dharma eyes to look at them. He frowned and said, "Why are they alive? How did living beings sneak onto the Bridge of Helplessness? How did you sneak in?" Een God berated. Bai Sujan hurriedly said, "The two gods, Shintu and Yulei, took pity on me and allowed me to cross the gates of hell to seek help from the gods of the underworld. God Shintu let me in." The guide messengers were alarmed. "Could you be the Bai Sujan who caused a huge ruckus in the world of the living? It said that you fell in love with Prince Mu and were deceived by him. In a rage, you assassinated him, causing countless demons to die because of you. The heavenly courts chased after you, but who knew that you would escape into the underworld?" Bai Sujan hurriedly explained, "That's not the case. This lowly demon came to the gods of the underworld to save Prince Mu, so as to resolve my grievances and save the demons of the primordial world." With that said, she pushed Shepherd Boy in front of her. Shepherd Boy had no choice but to say, "I am Prince Mu. What she said is true. He's clearly immortal. What kind of bloodline does Prince Mu have?" Een God was about to curse when he was pulled back. He whispered into his ear, "Haven't you heard of the rumors at the gates of hell? It said that the two gods, Shintu and Yulei, confirmed Prince Mu's soul and reincarnated into a mortal youth. He even fell in love with Bai Sujan." The horse-faced Een God at the side also shook his head and said, she seems to have a point. There are rumors saying that DZ Mu was killed by someone, and Bai Suzhen went to the underworld to save him. Their love moved the two great gods, Shin Tu and Yulei, and that was why they were spared and allowed to enter. Isn't it said that the demonic path is causing trouble? That two devils have deceived the two gods and infiltrated here to cause trouble? The Een gods all had different opinions. A god helplessly spread his hands and said, "The key is to let them in." That's right. You are Bai Suzhen, and he is Prince Mu. What about them? With that said, he pointed at Yuan Yu, Shui Tu, Ajadi, and Monkey King. Chapter 13-17. The Bridge of Helplessness was probably the most well-informed place in Untainted Land. It was a place where new ghosts had to pass by to be reincarnated at all times. As long as the conscious ghosts talked about how they died, the major events that happened in Untainted Land would not be able to escape from them. A red-faced little ghost carrying a trident whispered, "The heavenly court killed so many demons." 3 more checkpoints were added to the Bridge of Helplessness before they were all sent away. It was said that it was all because of a demoness from the upper world, Bai Suzhen. Bai Suzhen is here. An imp whispered, "She sent Prince Mu's soul over. Does she want to reverse the cycle of reincarnation and revive Prince Mu?" "Why?" An indigo-colored little ghost asked curiously, "Didn't she kill Prince Mu? The most complicated thing in this world is love." A little ghost whispered, "Moreover, Prince Mu's death was very strange. A ghost who passed by told me that on the day he died, he saw bright barbaric regions Tunghua Palace, where Prince Mu lived, being sealed by a very powerful formation. The Milky Way Navy attacked with all their might, but they were delayed for a long time before Prince Mu was killed beside the Milky Way Navy." Wow! Which ghost is so well informed? The Milky Way heavenly soldier was killed by the formation when he attacked the formation. He did not have enough merits and no descendants to help him accumulate merits, so he reincarnated into a good body. My relative at the gates of hell told me that Bai Suzhen and that imperial Prince Mu fell in love with each other. Their love transcended the difference between humans and demons, as well as the distance between heaven and man. The heavenly law of the heavenly court says that heaven and man are separated, and that humans and gods are not allowed to fall in love. Prince Mu is the son of celestial Emperor Dong Hua, a noble god. And Bai Suzhen is just a snake demon, not even a human. What is the status of the demons in the heavenly court? Such a rebellious love violates the heavenly law, so... Hearing such explosive news, the little ghost sects all gathered, wanting to grab a few small stools, grab a handful of melon seeds, and listen slowly. Then why did Bai Suzhen kill Prince Mu? A little ghost asked. She killed him and then came to the underworld to save him? This is the magic of love. Love and hate were intertwined. Love wanted her to live, hate wanted her to die. In the past few days, many demons who knew Bai Suzhen had died. I asked around and found out that Bai Suzhen was a virtuous demon who cultivated in virtue and was favored by Old Mother of Mountly. She entered the world to undergo a tribulation, and it was the most dangerous tribulation of relationship. Someone even saw Bai Suzhen riding a pleasure boat to participate in the sky bearing grand meat. Imperial Prince Mu was accompanying her, and there was also a sister, Green Snake, and a few of Imperial Prince Mu's subordinates. Afterward, Zhang Liang of the Tao of Peace enslaved a demon soul, which caused Bai Suzhen to frown. Imperial Prince Mu then sent one of his subordinates to kill Zhang Liang. That battle was truly shocking. Even Zhang Jiao and Bo Jun of the Road of Peace didn't dare to face him head-on. Later, Tunghua Palace underwent a shocking change, and Prince Mu died. The celestial court searched the heavens and earth, and locked Bai Suzhen up. No one knows what happened during this period of time. Not even a ghost knows? It must be a big conspiracy. Their love for each other has caused the deaths of many living beings. A little imp said unhappily, Many demons who were related to Bai Sujin were captured and interrogated by Prince Bo Jun's subordinates just because they received her kindness. There was also the Yellow Scarf Warriors of the Tao of Peace, who killed countless demons with Prince Bo Jun's support. This is nothing. Even Bai Sujin's sister, a green snake demon called Little Green, was captured by the people of the Tao of Peace. On the other side of the Bridge of Helplessness, in the underworld of Yudu City, a novice monk summoned a little imp. After listening to it for a while, it hurried to hell. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva sat on the lotus platform, and countless sons of Buddha served him on both sides. That little novice monk ran over and whispered something to a son of Buddha. That son of Buddha frowned and stepped out of the ranks, saying, "Bodhisattva, because of Prince Mu, Prince Bo Jun has massacred the demons and committed a heinous sin of murder. Now, the culprit that he mentioned, Bai Sujin, has brought a soul that claims to be the reincarnation of Prince Mu to seek help. Bodhisattva, can you call them over and verify their identities to quell the massacre of the demons?" Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva opened his eyes. Dingting, who was sitting down, moved his body uneasily. He heard Bodhisattva say, "Fahai, this is no small matter. That mortal soul is the reincarnation of Prince Mu. However, his soul was shattered by the great sage of the ocean cover, Demon King Jiao of the demon race. Because another monkey king of the demon race saved him, he used the heaven-stealing reincarnation technique to reincarnate him. Only then did his soul survive. In this world, there are only a few who can identify that this person is Prince Mu. It is fate that the demons are facing a calamity. It is really unavoidable. If I want to clarify the situation, it is not something that I can do alone. After all, Buddhism is an external path to the heavenly court. I am powerless. Unless Celestial Emperor Dong Hua takes action, this mystery can be solved. Moreover, the ones who assassinated Prince Mu are the 7 great sages of the demon race. Fahai, although you have good intentions, if the one who assassinated Prince Mu is only Bai Sujin, a nameless demon from the demon race, the heavenly court will not be angry. If it is revealed that this was done by the 7 great sages, this calamity will only be more intense. The heavenly court will definitely send a calamity to the entire demon race. The 7 great sages will incite the entire demon race to rebel against the heavenly court. It is imperative, and it will happen at any moment." Fahai still pleaded, "Although the 7 great sages of the demon race have wild ambitions, the demons and all living beings are not innocent. When the flames of war start, who knows how many innocent demons will suffer? Bodhisattva, please be merciful and bestow a way to save all living beings." Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva shook his head and said, "You can go and help Bai Sujin. However, once you enter the calamity, you will be the one to face it. In the future, karma will be entangled, and it will damage your Buddhist path. This calamity is very important. Once you enter the calamity, you will no longer be able to control yourself. After hearing this, are you still willing?" Fahai put his palms together and said solemnly, "I will walk for the righteous path. Even if my cultivation will be damaged, I will have no regret." Fahai bowed his head and worshipped. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva took out the purple gold alms bowl and gave it to him, saying, "This treasure is used by Samadhi, it is an innate item. I will bestow it to you for protection." Fahai took the purple gold alms bowl and kowtowed to Bodhisattva, saying, "Your disciple is leaving." Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva looked at him walking out of hell and was speechless. A Bodhisattva beside him asked carefully, "Why is Bodhisattva so speechless?" Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva said, "There are 2 demons by Bai Sujin's side. They are born from the blood sea. Under the entanglement of karma in the netherworld, it is like an egg in danger. The calamity is not far away." On the Naraka bridge, Shwetu secretly pulled Yuan Yu's hand. Yuan Yu looked back at him and Shwetu whispered, "Prince Bo Jun. No, it should be Celestial Emperor Zi Yang's people are coming soon." They are also very powerful in the netherworld. News travels very fast in the netherworld. Those little devils are running around and gossiping. The atmosphere in hell is very bad. Yuan Yu chimed in, everyone loves to gossip and gossip. Perhaps it's because the netherworld is too boring, and they can only gossip about the mortal realm. The information here is so well informed that the various forces must have spies around. Furthermore, there's nothing that can be hidden from the mighty figures of hell. You previously took in those two demons because you are preparing to use the name of the demonic path to stir up trouble. Shwetu grinned, and the smell of blood assaulted his nostrils. He laughed sinisterly. Let us make a mess in the netherworld, but you have to restrain yourselves. Don't make it to the point of no return. Otherwise, the netherworld is full of experts and mighty ones, and we will not have a good time. Wukong, who was standing at the side, picked his ears and said, that's right, that's right. We won't cause any trouble that can't be dealt with. The envoy pointed at them and asked, what about them? I am the great sage equal to heaven of the demon race, and they are the great demons of the blood sea demonic path. This time, I came to seek a good karma, to build a good relationship between the two races, and to pay a visit to a few almighty figures of the underworld. This way, it will be easier for us to travel together in the future. Shwetu, Yuan Yu, and Wu Xing all smiled brightly and nodded in agreement. That's right, we are all neighbors, let's visit and get to know each other. The netherworld was created by Lady Hutu and our ancestor River Stick. Our relationship is not ordinary. Now that we have come to the netherworld, it is only right that we greet each other. The envoy was stunned. Who did you say you are? Great sage of the demon race. Demon lords of the demonic path. The righteous path of the mystic door. Yuan Yu stood in the middle of the demons with a righteous expression. The envoy thought that he had heard wrongly. He turned to ask the little ghost who followed him. I heard a great sage of the demon clan and 2 demon monarchs of the devil Dao break into the underworld and say that they want to see the mighty figures of the underworld. Did you hear wrongly? The little ghost boldly said, Envoy, you didn't hear wrongly. The demons have indeed come to our door. Chapter 13:18. Emissary. You may leave. A black-robed Een god floated over from the other end of the Bridge of Helplessness and landed before Yuan Yu and the others. His face was as calm as an ancient well, as if nothing in this world could move him. His soul was extremely ancient. Before the primordial world shattered, there were too many immortal gods who had lived through countless years. In comparison, the Shwetu king and the others were much more lively. The blood-soaked demon monarch twitched his nose and pretended to sniff. He frowned and said, There's a smell of decay. Old but not dead, that's a thief. This is the smell of a longevity devil. You old bones have the potential to become a demon. The Shwetu king sneered, We, the demon, need talents like you. Are you interested in changing your job? The Nether River Patriarch is extremely powerful. He is a great divine being who is as famous as the Celestial Dharch and the Lady of Earth. The demon sect is vast, and I yearn for it. Unfortunately, I already have a position. The black-clothed Een god remained calm as he replied coldly, Today, I'm here on behalf of the Heavenly Court to ask you. Bai Suzhen has committed a heinous crime by assassinating the Crown Prince. Her crime is unforgivable. Do you really want to protect her? Yuan Yu said indifferently, I don't think you're representing the heavenly courts, but someone in the heavenly courts. To you, the important figures of the heavenly court represent the heavenly court. The Een god showed a stiff expression, as if he hadn't moved for a long time. For them, he used the same jerky smile. I understand. Bai Suzhen has never met any of you, and Imperial Prince Mu has only met her by chance. You all come from the future, so there's no way you don't know that they're already bones in a tomb. They don't have a future at all. Those who can adapt to circumstances should understand the bigger picture and follow the bigger picture. There's no need for the few of you to hang yourselves on a tree. Prince Mu is already beyond saving. What you can do now is, of course, to avenge him. Avenge him? Isn't that the same as killing the person behind you? The Shui-Tu king's expression was ferocious. The imperial monarch never thought of attacking Prince Mu. The imperial monarch is a man who abides by the rules. He knows very well the consequences of breaking the unspoken rules of the heavenly court. Therefore, the person who killed the prince will have to pay the price. Also, who killed Imperial Prince Mu? Wu Xing only said 2 words, "It's a demon." So, they got what they deserve. We won't let the 7 great sages off. Bai Suzhen must die as well. But what Prince Mu wants is not to kill demons, but justice. Yuan Yu said slowly. Why bother? If the monster race needs war, we will give it war. Zhou Juyan smiled and said, and this has nothing to do with you. You don't belong to this era. What the monarch wants to know is, what do you want? Yuan Yu and Shui-Tu fell silent. Yes, they didn't belong to this era. Why did they have to choose a position that had no hope? The heavenly court was destined to be destroyed. The bell of chaos was about to ring. They only needed to escape before the bell rang. What Prince Mu, Bai Suzhen, they were all destined to die in this era. They were the ashes of the era. What was the point of their life and death? What did the chaos of the heavenly court have to do with them? Why did they have to choose a side? Even if they had to choose a side, why didn't they choose spiritual master Ziyang, who was still on the chaotic sea? This is only history. Zhou Juyan smiled sinisterly. Does everything here have any meaning to you? Is there any meaning to you helping Prince Mu? To stop the conflict between humans and demons and avert this calamity? That's really merciful. Are you sure you are the direct descendants of the demon sect, and not the spies of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva? The human race and the monster race both need a war. At this time, war is already unavoidable. When the 7 sages decided to rebel, this conflict was destined to be unavoidable. Have any of you ever seen a war that can be delayed after it has become the common goal of several parties? This war isn't just because Prince Mu was assassinated. It's because everyone needs war, and that's why Prince Mu was assassinated. Even without Prince Mu, there will still be Prince Bo Jun, Prince Zhong Jun. The big shot behind me needs war, the monster race needs war, even the person behind Prince Mu, Emperor Zhuanxu, needs war. Those who want to stop the conflict between humans and demons, Bai Suzhen, Prince Mu, they are insignificant. This is history. It is meaningless to you all. You didn't come to this era to change this calamity, right? Since you came from the future, you should know that this calamity cannot be changed, right? Then, what reason do you have to meddle in this muddy water? That's all I have to say. I'm Zhou Juyan, the master of Zhou Juyan's celestial palace of Luoho 6 heavens. If you listen to me, when the armies of Zhou Juyan's celestial palace, Tranquil Sin celestial palace and Zhong Ling 7 faiths celestial palace arrive, there should only be the unforgivable evil demon Bai Suzhen and the lone ghost disguised as Prince Mu. If there are other accomplices, kill them all. Zhou Juyan waved his hand coldly. A cold light appeared in his hand, bringing with it endless coldness. After he finished speaking, he turned around without hesitation. He didn't look back, as if he didn't care about Yuan Yu and the others' choice. Because he was the head of Luoho 6 heavens, the master of Zhou Juyan's celestial palace. If it wasn't for the killing sword Qi that appeared in Fan Wu Jie's hand, if it wasn't for the sea-calming divine pearl that flashed in Yuan Yu's hand, they wouldn't have met. There was no need for them to meet. Because under Dara, everyone was an ant. Humans don't care about the opinions of ants. Luoho 6 heavens. Shui-Tu looked towards the sky and sighed. Spiritual Master Ziyang's power in the underworld is really great. It's actually Luoho 6 heavens. At least 3 celestial palaces are on Ziyang's side. No wonder he dares to challenge Emperor Zhuanxu, who has the support of the Milky Way Navy. Yuan Yu shook his head and said, "If it's Luo's 6 heavens, then they aren't the subordinates of spiritual master Ziyang. They are his allies in the underworld. Since Tung Wang-gong's reform, Ziyang's position doesn't just represent himself, but a large group of people who even have an extremely large power in the celestial heavens. Tung Wang-gong's reform has become a trend of thought, and it represents the interests of the celestial gods in the celestial heavens. The Emperor Heaven established the celestial heavens for the sake of the people. Now, this heart already has its own thoughts, and it is already prepared to rule over the 3 worlds. It will rise above the primordial world." Ajati looked towards the sky and sighed, "What does old ancestor want us to do? If he wants to rebel against the celestial heavens, even if I have to use my sword to fight him, I will still have a strong backbone. But now, old ancestor is just pushing us to experience some conspiracies and observe the situation of the eternity. He wants us to be involved in this unprecedented change since the immeasurable calamity, and we don't even know old ancestor's attitude. What if we go all out and fight Ziyang, but it's not old ancestor's intention?" Ajati smiled bitterly and said, "In the past, I wasn't afraid in front of you, Yin-Yang Demon Master, because I have old ancestors' support. But if we are mistaken about old ancestors' intention, the tradition of the demon path is never to clean up the mess of useless chess pieces." Xue Tu's shoulders also slumped, and he said to Yuan Yu dejectedly, "You said we would help Prince Mu, and we did. We interfered in the celestial heavens' internal strife, and we also went all out. But now, why are we doing this?" Monkey King squatted at the side and he held his cheeks and said, "Hey, did you guys forget about me?" Only then did Yuan Yu and the others realize that the youngest of the 7 great sages was still here. This Zhou Jian had said so much in front of them, but he actually didn't care about this person at all? Yuan Yu said warily, "Great sage, if it is really as Zhou Jian said, then this great tribulation of humans and demons is destined to be unsolvable. What is Great Sage's intention? You guys want to ask why I want to help you guys?" Monkey King wrapped his arms around Jingu Bang, and he hung it on his shoulders. "Do you guys really think that I, old son, am standing up for the innocent demons that have died? Do you guys really think that I, old son, have seen so many life and death situations, and all kinds of living beings in the primordial world, will care about this insignificant little conflict among the countless tribulations in the primordial world? If I, old son, have to take action every time a few demons die, then I will be so annoyed after writing for so many years. That little white snake has seen too little. She risked her life for those that respect her, those that worship her, those that kiss her, for the demons that she loves, for her compassion, for her tribulation. And that Prince Mu, because of fate, was dragged into the tribulation, and he had no choice but to continue walking. But what reason do you and I have to accompany them? You guys come from the future, this period of history has nothing to do with you guys. Regardless of success or failure, this tribulation cannot affect the future. You guys are like spectators standing on the shore in a flood. The flood cannot reach your homes, and now that you have stepped into the flood, you are disoriented, and you don't know which direction to go. Are you going with the flow? Or are you trying your best to swim to the shore? If you want to go to the shore, which direction is the shore? Yuan Yu sighed. This monkey's every sentence was right on point. The reason why they went to save Prince Mu was not because of their good relationship with him, nor was it because of their personal feelings, but because Prince Mu was the only clue they had grasped in the entire situation. It was like they had grabbed a thread in a mess, and of course, it was like they had found a treasure. Only by following Prince Mu could they slightly understand the overall situation of the Great Tribulation. Otherwise, with the primordial world being so huge, how could they find the key to solve the situation before the bell of chaos rang? It would be good if we really knew the history. We know those conspiracies, we know what Ziyang and the 7 great sages are doing, we know how the primordial demon court returned, we know the complicated situation in the heavenly court and the key. But we don't know, so we stumble and have no direction. Currently, we only know that Prince Mu is at a key location. Yuan Yu sighed helplessly. Stupid, Monkey King said coldly. Yuan Yu's expression was solemn. He turned back to look at Monkey King, only to see Monkey King leaning on the golden cudgel, looking at the other side of the bridge of helplessness. He said softly, "In the past, Old Sun did as he pleased, and he had no choice but to be manipulated by others. It could be said that he had indulged his inner monkey, and was subdued by others. He had been a chess piece, and he had broken the chessboard. You guys still don't know that you are chess pieces?" Wukong shouted. "A pawn can't help himself, and it's the easiest for him to lose his way. It's because everything he does isn't out of his own will. Once he enters the situation, he can't help himself and is pushed forward. If he doesn't push, he won't move. Even if he wants to move, he doesn't know which direction to go. Hence, they gradually become more cautious, and they can't see the big picture, but they try to make a few good moves to deal with the situation. Hence, it is difficult to move forward, and they gradually get further and further away, and they enter a dead end, and they are in a dilemma of life and death, and they become abandoned pieces." What a joke! You want to see the chessboard clearly. Are you the one playing chess? You are just a small chess piece, and you want to dominate the chessboard? You guys never have a choice, you can only move forward, knock and roll, and pierce through the sky. Step by step, charge forward, barge into the tribulations, block the holes of the air, and hit the muzzles. Don't think about those paths of retreat, the path of retreat belongs to the chess player. Where does the chess piece get a path of retreat? There are countless mysteries, countless karma entanglements. You guys should be a blade, barge in, and cut it cleanly, becoming the swift blade of the chess player. Swift blade, one must be fast, and two must be sharp. If you think too much, you won't be fast, and if you don't act ruthlessly, you won't be sharp enough. Bodhisattvas fear karma, and deities fear karma. Cultivators have always avoided tribulations, but have you ever heard of a person who dares to avoid tribulations and peace? Everywhere you go, you will barge into the complicated situation, entangling yourself with countless karma, and then you will either pester others endlessly or kill others. You will stir up what needs to be stirred up, and you will clean up what needs to be cleaned up. Don't be afraid of going overboard, for if you are too rigid, you will break easily. If your blade is not sharp enough, there will naturally be players behind you to sharpen it. Are you afraid that there will be no one to back you up? In Xuetu, Wu Sheng was shocked, and he gasped. You Monkey King laughed out loud, and patted their shoulders. Now, the two key points of this tribulation, by Suzhen and Prince Mu, are in your hands. If you take a stance and deal with them, you will be annoyed to death. Even if your opponent makes a move, you will have to deal with it. There are endless schemes, and sooner or later, you won't be able to escape from it. If you use the key points of this game to turn the world upside down, do countless unbelievable and unimaginable things, and become a reckless chess piece that doesn't follow the rules, who will be able to stop you? Who will be able to stop you? The person behind you doesn't need to play according to the rules. He is the one who sets the rules. Monkey King said arrogantly, "Why do you think I am here? I am here to rampage in this game, and I will not follow the rules." Yuan Yu laughed. "You are right, great sage, I am too narrow-minded. Everyone says that the war between humans and demons is unstoppable, that everything has happened, that the tragedy is irreversible. I will try to salvage it." Yuan Yu suddenly shouted at Bai Suzhen. Bai Suzhen. Bai Suzhen raised her head in confusion, and she saw Yuan Yu revealing a twisted and strange smile, which was extremely sinister and sinister. Yuan Yu said, "How many innocent people have died on this bridge of helplessness because of you? Can you really stand by and watch? Now, almost all the demons close to the heaven court have been killed. Even if you save Prince Mu, can it still be salvaged? Bai Suzhen was speechless, and Yuan Yu laughed. They should not have died in the first place. Who can't be salvaged? How is it enough to save Prince Mu alone? Why can't we salvage the war between humans and demons? Yuan Yu casually glanced at the countless demons and souls on the Bridge of Helplessness and said, "Save them all. Prince Bo Jun has committed a heinous crime and killed countless innocent people. Then we will redeem everything and save them all. Go against life and death, reverse reincarnation. Do you dare?" Chapter 13:19. Bai Suzhen turned around and was speechless. The Monkey King smiled and said, "Go and take a break. Why do you have to bully a little girl?" Wukong said to Yuan Yu, "You and I dared to make a big fuss because you didn't care about the life and death of the demon spirits. You just wanted to find an excuse to kill them. There is nothing in this world that we care about. It doesn't matter how many people die. Naturally, we are arrogant and presumptuous. She is just a little girl. I don't know how many things in this world she can't bear to let go of. What kind of troublemaker are you using to threaten her?" Wukong pointed at Yuan Yu and said with a grin, "You brat, your demonic nature is deep." Yuan Yu laughed and said, "Well said. I don't care about anything. In my era, even the heavenly court has collapsed. The underworld has been destroyed. Are you afraid that it will come after you?" On the Bridge of Helplessness, a tattered flag with a black base and red edges rose slowly from the other side of the bridge. The flag was very old. The black flag was faintly mottled with blood rust. An ancient totem was written on the flag. The totem of the ancient witch cult was written before Tsongjie created the characters. It was both a character and a totem. It was half pictographic and half freehand brushwork. The chilly wind of the netherworld blew across the flag, and the long streamer fluttered. As the ancient and somewhat tattered flag rose slowly from the other side of the Bridge of Helplessness, the ghost god holding the flag was revealed. It was a witch god. His eyes were emitting green flames that were dozens of feet long. His face was tattooed with mysterious witchcraft characters. 2 curved horns were on the back of his head. His face looked like a combination of a human and a beast. His fangs and the decorations on his armor were exaggerated. It was as if he had extracted the most barbaric and ferocious side of the murderers in the prehistoric times. Zhou. That was probably the meaning of the runes on the blood-rusted black flag. It depicted a god holding a heavenly weapon who was about to chop down. The original meaning of this shaman script was to use a knife and an axe to chop wood, and then use a knife and an axe to chop a human into 2 halves. Then, the body would be beheaded and the body would be executed with extreme punishment. In some remote shaman scripts, it was used to represent the creation of heaven and earth by the great god Pangu. Therefore, it also had the meaning of pioneering, unprecedented, and new. The totem of the Zhou character was a sorcerer god holding a giant axe. Therefore, it was used as a totem by the Xingtian Grand Wizard tribe, which was under the command of the Hutu Grand Wizard. It meant to open up, to split, and by extension, to split wood, to split sacrificial offerings, and to split human sacrifices. In the end, it was regarded as a variant of punishment, and became one of the dozens of totems of the Xingtian tribe. But it also represents the heavenly stem in astronomy. Monkey King looked at the runes and said, "I see. No wonder it's called the Old Chi of the 6 heavens. It's not welcomed by the majority of the celestial heavens, and had no choice but to form an alliance with Celestial Emperor Ziyang." Xue Tu King was confused. He scratched his half-bald head and asked, "Isn't this the war flag of the Yin Celestial Palace of Zhouju? It's normal to use the word Zhou." "What do you know?" Monkey King scolded him and explained, "The shaman script Zhou is a variant of the shaman script Xen, which became the shaman script Xing, which then became the shaman script Zhou. The shaman script Xen is one of the most ancient and greatest scripts of the shaman race. Its shape is an axe, and the totem it represents is Pangu's axe. It's the totem that the 12 grand wizard tribes worship together. The Exan is the axe. The shaman script Xing is beside the shaman script Exan, and a deity holding the Exan axe was added. This originally represented the Xingtian shaman, who held the axe on behalf of the great god Pangu. When the Monkey King mentioned the Xingtian shaman, Xue Tu and Wu Xing shuddered. They stuttered, could the great Xingtian god be behind the Yin celestial palace of Zhouju? The two of them exchanged glances, feeling a little uneasy. If the war god of the mystic door was lord of purity and magic, the war god of the demon race was great sage Gochen, and the war god of the dragon race was great Inglong, then the Xingtian god was the war god of the shaman race. He killed countless gods during the great war of shaman and demon, and countless innate gods died under his axe. In the end, he even swung his axe at the Emperor Heaven for Lady Hutu. In the end, he was defeated by the Emperor Heaven. His head was chopped off, but he continued to fight with anger. It was not until the Emperor Heaven ordered his men to split Chongyang Mountain and seal his head that he was defeated. What kind of person was Celestial Emperor? He dared to wave his axe at him. Even though he was defeated, he was still proud. Even Xing Tian, who was always determined, was a fierce god of war in front of Celestial Emperor. Among the mediocre people in the celestial heavens, how many imperial emperors and great gods could stand high and mighty in front of Xing Tian and not bat an eyelid? They were merely two little demon monarchs of the diabolism. It was normal for them to be moved. Even if they were afraid, it would not be shameful. Xue Tu and Wu Xing thought to themselves in fear. The Monkey King shook his head and said, "The Yin celestial palace of Zhouju is not worthy to be associated with the Xingtian." The later Wu language, Xing, was changed to the Wu language Zhou to highlight the cruel side of it. It means that in the sacrificial ceremony, one chopped human animals with a giant axe or chopped enemies with a giant axe. In the most ancient holy kingdom of the human tribe in the untainted land, there was an ancient human emperor. After his death, he was given this title to show that he was cruel and bloodthirsty, and to describe his powerful and cruel side. In the ancient untainted land, the witchcraft was the orthodox religion and worshipped the sorcerer god. The emperor of the untainted land was named after the heavenly stem. The original title of the emperor happened to be the original form of the Wu language, Exan. King Zhou. By Suzhen's expression changed. Even Yuan Yu was slightly moved. King Zhou? In the ancient war of deification, in order to replace the stars originally controlled by the primitive demon court, he cleaned up the complicated forces in the untainted land. He killed the immortals of the 3 religions of the untainted land and took them as gods. He forcibly took back the backbone of the unstable forces in the untainted land to the heavenly court. Later, he was gradually cleaned out. Isn't King Zhou suppressed in the Tianxi star? It's not King Zhou. The Monkey King stared at the army of ghosts and deities that gradually appeared at the end of the bridge of helplessness and sneered, but it has something to do with King Zhou. The Wu tribe is the ancestor god of the human tribe. When the heavenly court was newly established in the Xia and Shang divine dynasties, the Emperor of Heaven had not cleaned up the witchcraft yet. Therefore, the witchcraft was the orthodox religion in the untainted land. Both dynasties worshipped the sorcerer god. Humans and sorcerers were mixed together, and the law of heaven was not clear. At that time, the influence of the sorcerer god in the heavenly court had not been cleaned up, let alone the untainted land. To put it bluntly, the Emperor of Heaven himself was the ancestor of sorcerer Dijiang. The bloodline of Dijiang was the orthodox religion of the 5 emperors. How could the remnants of the Wu tribe in the human tribe be cleaned up? No matter in the Xia and Shang divine dynasties, the bloodline of the emperors was the descendant of the Emperor of Heaven, the Son of Heaven. If he was not the bloodline of the Emperor of Heaven, how could he be called the Son of Heaven? Wasn't Emperor Zhuanshu the Son of Heaven in the beginning? The Wu tribe arose in the untainted land and ruled the human world. The bloodline was originally passed down in the untainted land. Later, the demon court that ruled the heaven realm was destroyed. The untainted land and the Wu tribe merged. The ancestor of sorcerer Dijiang was reincarnated into the human tribe. He was reincarnated in the Dijiang tribe and assimilated into the Yu Xiong tribe of the human tribe. Many great sorcerers' bloodlines were mixed into the human tribe. The bloodline of Dijiang of the Yu Xiong tribe was followed by the Emperor of Heaven. He attacked the Hutu, Gonggong, Zhu Rong, and other tribes and became the orthodox religion of the human tribe. The bloodline of the Emperor of Heaven was the Son of Heaven in the untainted land. Xia Qi, the Son of Heaven, established the divine kingdom. Later, Tang of Shang destroyed Xia and established the great Shang dynasty. Both Xia and Shang were supported by the 5 emperors who were the direct descendants of the Emperor of Heaven in the heavenly court. The ancestor of the Xia dynasty was King Yu, the grandson of Zhuanxu. The great Shang dynasty was the descendant of Emperor Ku, the son of the mystic bird. The sorcerer god was the orthodox religion of the human tribe. However, the Emperor of Heaven did not ascend the throne as the ancestor of sorcerer Dijiang. Instead, he became a human. This explains some problems. Later, the great Shang dynasty worshipped ghosts and gods and became the dynasty where ghosts and gods ruled over the human tribe. The king of Shang thought that he was a god and not a human. The ghosts and gods enjoyed the human tribe as food. How could the Emperor of Heaven tolerate this? Therefore, the God-conferment battle was not only a civil war between the mystic door, but also a calamity where the subjects of the Emperor of Heaven, the new god of the heavenly court, cleaned up the old sorcerer gods, and the human tribe destroyed the ghosts and gods. The Emperor of Heaven established a new law of the heavenly court. The ghosts and gods of the Wu tribe are the old Qi of the 6 heavens. The new god of the heavenly court is the righteous Qi of the 3 heavens and the 9 heavens. The 6 heavens of Rahu were the ghosts and gods of the great Shang dynasty when it ruled the untainted land. In the end, they were killed by the heavenly court during the God-conferment tribulation of the 6 heavens. They were the ancient sorcerer gods, the ghosts and gods worshipped during the Xia and Shang dynasties. They were also the ancestors of the human tribe, who called themselves the God tribe in the underworld during the Xia and Shang dynasties. They were even the remaining forces of the 2 divine dynasties in the Yin earth. The Shui Tu king said faintly. Under the flag of the 6 heavens of Rahu, countless ghosts and gods were lined up neatly. They wore bronze armor full of saber wounds and arrow wounds. They were densely packed and carried an ancient aura. This was the army of ghosts and gods of the Yin Shang dynasty. Zhang Liang's army of ghosts and gods of the past was like a joke in front of this real army of the divine dynasty. During the Yin Shang dynasty, the direct tribes of the archaic demon court that retained great power were like stray dogs in front of this army of ghosts and gods. The powerful tribes that the archaic demon court had sent to the untainted land to fight against the sorcerer tribe were not wiped out by the sorcerer tribe after the defeat of the divine dynasty. Instead, they were beaten up by the human divine dynasty that merged with the sorcerer tribe. These demon tribes later became the ancestors of demons and barbarians. The barbarians were those who had no choice but to become humans. Although they still retained some of the characteristics of the demon tribe, they were actually a more primitive and inferior human tribe. A demon with a human face and a bird's body spread his wings and flew above Yuan Yu and the others. He said coldly, "The demon barbarian woman, by Suzhen, assassinated the crown prince, despised the heaven, and violated the law of heaven. Her sin is unforgivable. If she dares to offend the power of the underworld again, she will be punished by the demons and gods. With the power of the heaven and the underworld, we will eliminate the rebellious demons and barbarians in the world." And the demon monkey king, "Do you know your sin?" The monkey king picked his ears and said with a cheeky smile, I don't know. Can you tell me? Lowly demons and barbarians. We are lowly, but Tum Wang Kung did not abandon us and gave you a way out. But you have the hearts of wolves and the lungs of dogs, and the hearts of beasts cannot be moved. You have poisons and you eat the stench of fish. The demon clan oppresses the heavens, and you are extremely perverted and filthy. Wild foxes occupy the throne, and monkeys are crowned in the imperial court. Demon King, how can you be called a great sage? You even helped the demon by Suzhen to assassinate the crown prince of the heaven. You don't know your place, you are disgraceful. Accept your death and the pain of hell. If you continue to be stubborn, I will make you abandon your body and let your soul dissipate. The flying scythe god general sneered, this flying scythe god. I will let you die knowing that you will die. The blood-soaked demon lord looked back to see how Wukong would react. He saw Wukong pick out his ear and pull out a bowl-sized rod from his ear. With a wave of his hand, the rod transformed into millions of metal rods that streaked across the sky like shadows. Wukong raised the rod, and with a flash of light, the flying scythe general exploded. The powerful body was like tofu in front of the golden cudgel. The flying scythe's powerful strength faced the Monkey King's cudgel head-on. The sudden burst of divine might tore apart the darkness of hell, almost cutting off the river of forgetfulness and the chi of six heavens. The power of the ancient witch god was beyond reason. It was hard to imagine that this was the power of a god general of the great Shang dynasty. The era of the ghost god's direct rule was almost a taboo. The flying scythe was one of the four gods under the command of King Zhou. He was as famous as Eli. During the Battle of God's Investiture, the Chan sect was terrified. Later, he was killed by perfected Lord Qingyuan. But the power of the flying scythe still shocked the ages. After becoming the chi of six heavens and becoming a ghost god, he lost his powerful body. Although the flying scythe was weak, he shouldn't have been killed by a great sage of the demon race. When the flying scythe was at his peak, he killed countless great sages of the demon race. The War of Hounds was terrified and the eastern barbarians fled. But that was the Monkey King. I pity you. You died without knowing why. The Monkey King grinned. His face was overflowing with ferocity. His golden cudgel stirred up a huge wave from the heaven underworld under the Bridge of Helplessness. The Bridge of Helplessness, a connate spiritual treasure, trembled slightly and its spiritual light became unstable. After the flying scythe was destroyed, the six heavens' ghosts and deities fell into chaos. The murderous aura suddenly dissipated, and the countless ghosts and deities in formation let out chaotic noises. Their formation was unstable, and panic spread. The flying scythe general was killed. The flying scythe was no match for that monkey. The Shui-Tu King's legs turned to jelly. Fail Yen was not weaker than him. It could even be said that after the flying scythe became a ghost god, he was slightly stronger than him. When he was alive, he was much stronger than him. But he was killed by that monkey with a single strike. Is he that fierce? Yuan Yu murmured. The Monkey King's sudden outburst shocked his own people first, and then the enemy. Zhou Juyan's expression was indifferent. He stood among the ghost gods of the six heavens and remained unmoved. He slightly released his aura and an extremely oppressive aura stabilized the formation of the ghost god. He activated his army and pressed forward. He didn't care about the life and death of the ghost god. He just wanted them to break through and surround the enemy. Wukong laughed and kicked the buttocks of the blood-soaked demon monarch and the lifeless sect leader beside him. He then roared, "The blood-soaked demon monarch and the lifeless demon monarch of the demonic path are here. You are just a bunch of lowly deities who can't withstand a single blow. Today we will kill our way into the underworld, break the Bridge of Helplessness, capture the 10 palaces Yenluo, and replace him with a king of hell. Boundless sea of blood, trample through the netherworld." His voice shook the netherworld and spread throughout the entire underworld. Even the 10 palace halls of the netherworld reverberated with the Monkey King's roar. The two old demons, Shue-Tu and Lifeless, turned pale. They had no choice but to face the endless army of ghost gods. Yuan Yu whispered, "Use the terrain of the Bridge of Helplessness." Only then did Wu Shing force out a strand of Yuan killer sword chi, which scattered in all directions, intercepting the countless 6 heavens demons and deities that were rushing over on the Bridge of Helplessness. Shue-Tu touched his body and cursed, "My heavenly demonic blood god saber."